This is Comic Geek Speak episode 1827, Previews. Welcome to Comic Geek Speak. I'm Adam Murdo.
And I'm Ian Levinstein. Not quite as enthusiastic as Chris usually does it, but I try.
Yep, it's a decent approximation of the Eberlian verve.
Most definitely. Well, welcome one and all to the show as once again a two-man crew for previews this month. Unfortunately, Mr. Eberly is otherwise indisposed, as is Shane, but we will have them on hopefully for our next episode as we do something a little bit spooky.
Just a little bit, though.
Yeah, not too spooky.
The spookiness part, not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly. Not the having Shane and Chris on again part, but we'll have them on for more than a little bit, hopefully.
Yeah, to say the least, And well, while the two of us hold down the fort, we remind you, as usual, that we are sponsored by you, more than two of you out there in CGS land, over at patreon.com/comicgeekspeak. As we thank you so much for your continued support of the show and all that you do for us, the crew, and the podcast itself. We thank you so much for that continued support, and all 117 of you on the internet. Thank you so much for your continued support over at patreon.com/comicgeekspeak. And comicgeekspeak.com/donate.php is still the old school way of doing it, or just shoot us a review, or tell a friend, or tell your mother. I don't know, whatever you want to do.
Doesn't cost you nothing but a little bit of brain power.
Ain't that the truth? And before we get going with the main previews episode, quick trip into the mailbag, as we did get a thank you from Mr. Eamon Clark from the wonderful gift that we bestowed upon you, the listeners, and him as well, for our breakdown of For the Man Who Has Everything. And Eamon sent this in a couple weeks ago, and I want to make sure that we read it on the show. To all of the CGS crew, thank you very much for your kind words and wishes at the start of the Footnotes episode, which I am listening to as I type this. It has been a great pleasure to be a part of the extended CGS family all these years, and I am glad that I have been able to share some great British comics and Christmas cheer with you. I hope I will be able to carry on sending small parcels in the future if the shipping costs don't get too high for a pensioner. What an amazing note from Peter that Superman Annual number 11 hit the shelves in the same month as I finished my finals and qualified as a doctor.
That's a hell of a coincidence.
I know. Tell me about it. And also thank you for the fond memories of Jamie D's London trip and my small part in it. I was hoping to spend the first year of my retirement studying for a master's in comic books and graphic novels, but sadly that course has become another COVID casualty and has been canceled. So my attempt to match Adam's achievements as a master of this part of popular culture that we love has been delayed, but hopefully will happen in 2022/23. Thank you again for the lovely surprise, and my best wishes to all of you. Congratulations on all that you do for the comics community. Best regards, Eamon Clark.
And Eamon, as he knows, is most richly welcome.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Most definitely the case. Yep. And we are absolutely thrilled to have him a part of the community. And here's to whatever comes next.
Yep. CGS Extended Family Emeritus.
Absolutely.
This was always Dr. Clark.
Yep. All righty. Let's get going with this preview, shall we?
Let's do that thing.
Okay, great. And we begin with the cover to this preview, which happens to be issue 397. And I cannot wait to talk about this. I have thoughts and opinions, as usual. It's kind of my thing. But Titan
As
Comics,
podcasters, they're a good thing to have.
yes, most definitely. Titan Comics coming out with a Cowboy Bebop comic book based on the Netflix series coming soon. And then the second cover would be the Vampirella cover this month, Shock of Shocks for Halloween.
Heck of an eye-catching image there, that Art Germ Cowboy Bebop cover.
Yeah, it is. I've watched the trailer, and I've watched the opening credits that match the opening credits for the anime, which feel a little bit slower than the ones for the anime, but at the same time, I appreciate what they're trying to capture. I'm gonna have to see this thing to get further, full judgment on it, because Cowboy Bebop remains one of my favorite anime of all time, and it's gonna be very difficult to capture that.
Yep, it's one of the few that I've viewed in its entirety, thanks to its airings at the dawn of Adult Swim back in the fall of 2001. 20 years ago, if you can believe it.
I barely can. Yeah, it's been a long road and a lot of changes. Especially considering the fact that in recent months, Adult Swim lost Family Guy, like the series that kind of put Adult Swim on the map, and they're the ones that we can thank for getting Family Guy back in the first place.
Absolutely. Well, it's already lost Futurama, for which it did the same thing. But I hadn't even noticed. Well, for one thing, I don't get Adult Swim. It's not a part of my Comcast cable package back home in Pennsylvania. I do get it down here at Stone Harbor, but I haven't been watching it very often. And now that you mention it, I haven't watched a Family Guy episode there in a very long time. And now I know the reason why.
Yeah, they that was actually a casualty of the Disney merger. Disney took the syndication rights back and didn't actually renew their deal with Turner. So TBS and Cartoon Network lost out on Family Guy, and now it is a FX/syndication exclusive. So you might still find it on your rando, syndicated channel or what have you, but for actual, second run Family Guy, you're only going to find it on FX or Fox. That's it. Yep.
Well, Family Guy's loss is Bob's Burgers' gain, I guess.
Yeah. Let's see how much longer Bob's Burgers is on Adult Swim now that you mention it, because Bob's Burgers is yet another one of those Fox properties. So who the heck knows? It's going to be a changing landscape in late night syndication, it seems.
Well, at least American Dad is safe since that jumped ship to TBS safely before the Disney acquisition.
You are right, and it has continued to air on Adult Swim as well as TBS, and that ain't going nowhere. So yes, an excellent point on that one. All right, and back to the previews catalog as we begin with Image here. And starting off with a fantasy book here on page 34, Lady Mechanica. I guess you would say it. Yeah, Lady Mechanica, the Monster of the Ministry of Hell, #1, by Joe Benitez, art by Joe Benitez and Beth Sotelo, and a pretty striking cover here by Joe Benitez as well. In a Victorian asylum full of grotesque inmates, sadistic guards, and a fanatical doctor, a young lady wakes to find her arms and legs have been replaced with mechanical limbs. But who among this gruesome menagerie is the true monster of the Ministry of Hell? The origins of the notorious adventures known as Lady Mechanica.
So this is a character that's been batting around the non-Big Two sections of the catalog for a few years now. I don't think she's always been with Image, but I know I've seen Lady Mechanica solicited for years, and now I guess they're going back and giving her an origin story. And steampunk has never really been my bag, but I like the looks of the art samples that we're getting here.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's and yeah, I actually agree with you on steampunk. It has to be like really good steampunk to really catch my drift. And this, I like the art samples. I like the previews, and what a striking image here on the third of these pages here with the woman lying there dead, and where that's going to go. on page 37. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Look at them metal arms.
Mm-hmm. Vintage Victorian prosthetics.
Indeed.
Convincingly rendered.
Yep. And then we return to the Spawn universe yet again on page 38 as the expansion continues, this time with the Scorched. Sean Lewis on writing and Steven Segovia and Paolo Sequeira. So good pedigree there with a cover by Frank Quitely, also covered by Greg Capullo, Arthur Adams, Mark Silvestri, and Mr. McFarlane himself, and Brett Booth. Man, tons of covers. When you see covers A through H, that's when you know they're going for something big here. And now we get ourselves our first superhero team book in the Spawn line with the Scorched #1.
Mm-hmm. And it's just wall-to-wall spawns, too. It's a super group of spawns. It's the traveling Wilburys of spawns.
Surprised they didn't just name it Spawns or The Spawn or something along those lines.
Yeah, seems like another missed branding opportunity to me.
Yep.
Just to let folks know who might not be looking at a cover image or just seeing the title that this is, in fact, a Spawn-related series.
Yep. And it has Spawn himself along with Redeemer, Gunslinger, Medieval Spawn, and She-Spawn, with many more heroes waiting in the wings.
Most of them probably Hellspawn also.
Yeah, more than likely. And I'm digging the artwork. I mean, the artwork has me. It's typical, not typical, but nice classic superhero style artwork being rendered here in these pages. And yeah, I mean, it looks pretty cool. I just don't know how much I'm into a Spawn universe, quite frankly.
Yeah, same here.
Well, are we into spies? That's the question.
Well, I think I might be into this spy. This is another offering from Mark Miller with artwork by Matteo Scalera, I think it said.
Yep.
It's called The King, or just King, excuse me, no definite article. King of Spies. #1 of a 4-issue miniseries, and it's about a James Bond type figure who discovers that he's got only 6 months to live, and what does he do to atone for a life of just propping up a system that of a governmental oppression and counterintelligence cruelty over the years. So now he knows where all the bodies are buried, and he's now going out to I guess, reveal some of the dirty secrets he's kept, some of the skeletons he's hidden in closets over the years. Yeah, it's kind of like what happens if James Bond suddenly recovers the rest of his conscience and decides to make right some of the things he's done wrong over the decades.
Well, I'll tell you, from the looks of the character, kind of looks a lot like Pierce Brosnan today. Like, and I don't know if that's intentional or not, but he has been sporting the beard for quite some time now, and that's immediately where my brain goes.
It's the beard and the extra mid-body mass, shall we say?
Yep. And also, part of me thinks, I mean, the original concept for the Kingsman was very different than the Kingsman that we got on screen.
This is true,
and this is kind of like bridging that gap a little bit more, and Mark Miller finally going straight into the spy genre that the Kingsman became in movie form. Interesting.
It's a good point.
Yep. I did just see the latest Bond in theaters earlier this week at the new Alamo Drafthouse in Lower Manhattan. Had to check it out for the bar that they created called the Press Room, which has all these old printing plates in museum form all around the bar that they rescued from the largest collection of printing plates that I think was being stored in a facility in Ohio or something along those lines. And the owner of Alamo Drafthouse bought them outright and decided to actually make something of them and made a museum out of it. And now they're even offering printed plates that you can purchase the prints of at the Drafthouse itself as you're heading out of the theater. So pretty cool.
Yes, props to him for allowing those to see the light of day again.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. And the movie itself, good but long, and most definitely divisive. That's the way I'll put it. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it.
This is honest and for true, the last Daniel Craig Bond movie now?
Oh, honest and for true, 100%. Not giving anything away, but they make that very clear in the movie itself. But I did enjoy it. It's just, it definitely has some parts where it could have used a little bit of snipping. Like, I think maybe not quite worth the 2 hours and 40 minutes, but I did enjoy my time.
Well, that is what counts in the final equation.
Definitely.
Myself, I haven't even seen Casino Royale yet, so I've got the whole ride ahead of me.
Yes, you do, and boy, oh boy, is it a bumpy one, because it's every other Bond is good. That's the way his worked out. Casino Royale, great. The name of the second one's escaping me at the moment, but that
Quantum of Solace?
Quantum of Solace, yes. Then the follow up, good. Spectre, and now this one's I'd say closer to yay than nay, but yeah,
it's evening out as the roller coaster cars roll back into the shed.
Yeah, Skyfall's the one that I couldn't think of. Skyfall is actually quite good, with an excellent Bond theme by Adele.
Right.
All right, let's go for another one of these big event books here. Noctera Special, Blacktop Bill, written by the one and only Scott Snyder, with art by Dennis Cohen and Chris Sotomayor. That's a team.
No kidding.
Yep. To hold the book of Blacktop Bill in the wake of the first arc's explosive finale, the origin of Noctera's most terrifying creature will at last be revealed in this special one-shot issue. Witness the horror that awaits our heroes as Scott Snyder and legendary artist Dennis Cohen. Or is it Cowan? I always get that one confused.
Yeah, I've always said Cowan, but I've been wrong about these things before.
Well, Cowan then presents a penny dreadful you won't soon forget. And this is a standalone, so if you didn't read the first Noctera, you may be able to just go straight in with this. But the first 3 issues of Noctera are offered again as part of this previews as well on page 44.
Yep, there they are. So catch up if you need to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now I'm happy to see this.
Yes, you are.
Next thing rolling up here on page 46, because it's an indicator of how well the first Stray Dogs miniseries must have done. I've heard it referred to in places other than the Image section of previews as a bestseller. And for the sake of creator Tony Fleeks, I'm very happy, because Tony is a nice guy. He did a lot of My Little Pony stuff for IDW. I had some interactions with him at cons as a result of that, and I'm happy to see that he's finding some success in other areas, even if it's still drawing more or less anthropomorphic animals. But yeah, Stray Dog, this is Stray Dog's Dog Days, part 1 of a 2-issue miniseries following up the 4-issue Stray Dogs miniseries, which is about a collection of dogs collected by a serial killer who makes it part of his MO to kill his victims and then adopt their dogs. So it's kind of the interesting little culture that develops among this little group of dogs that this serial killer has taken in. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of an anthology of short stories, going back to these characters. It was written by Mr. Fleeks with art by Trish Forstner in kind of a Don Bluth animation style that is was such an effective contrast to the eerie and gory subject matter of the original miniseries.
Well, I love the last sentence in this solicitation. Starting this December, every dog has its day.
Just bring in Don LaFontaine from the realm beyond to read that aloud.
Absolutely. And you're right about the artwork. It's very all dogs go to heaven, I feel like.
Absolutely.
In its execution. Now, here we are with something I believe is going to be special on page 48. Leone, Notes on a Life. This is an original graphic novel written and drawn by Carmine Di Giandomenico and Francesco Colafetto. Acclaimed creators, known for The Flash, Daredevil, Batman, Jack Murdoch, and a rising star of an artist, present the true story of Leone, an Italian man who immigrated to the U.S. to find fortune, freedom, and jazz, and left it again to save lives. From the stage of his last concert in New York City, through the sound of his trumpet, Leon recounts his past and his future in an emotional, non-linear memoir made of music and memories. This sounds awesome.
Yep. Seems like pretty powerful stuff.
Yep, definitely. And that's on page 48. It's described as a true story in the tradition of such American immigrant narratives as American-born Chinese and the best we could do. That's infused with jazz music culture. All right, and I from the artwork, it is not going to disappoint. Really like how they're working with color here.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of a monochrome effect.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Indeed. All right, well, what say we on the rest of Image here as we get into the trades? Copra, round 6. Michelle Fief collecting Copra 32 to 41 on page 53. Anybody who's been following the Copra saga, round 6 is available for you.
Mm-hmm. Collecting issues that were published separately by Image. It had been self-published by Fief as just like big, thick OGNs for the first several volumes. But here, this is collecting the first of the Image stuff. And Copra is basically it's a love letter to old John Ostrander's Suicide Squad, with analogs of Marvel characters thrown in at will, just kind of seasoned to taste. It's this weird fever dream of Michelle's, weird indie sensibilities taking on Suicide Squad and throwing in like Doctor Strange and the Punisher here and there whenever he feels like it.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah, I've yet to tackle Copra, and I feel like it's on my long list of must reads at some point from the way you've described it in the past.
Yes, it might be. You described MODOK on Facebook today as your kind of weird. I'm hoping that Copra will be your kind of weird also, because it's definitely mine.
Yes, and boy oh boy, the episode of MODOK that I just finished off at with a whole bunch of Marvel's D-list villains would be completely your bag.
Gentlemen, you intrigue me.
All right. I'll mention here as well on page 56, The Old Guard Tales Through Time by Greg Rucka and Various, and Leonardo Fernandez and Various. This collects the Old Guard Tales Through Time numbers 1 through 6, which was an Old Guard anthology that came out not too long ago. And this collects that here. For anyone who's a fan of the Old Guard, whether it be the Netflix movie or the original series, this might be for you. And again, collected here in trade on page 56, and volumes 1 and 2 are out there for you as well.
Or you can try just the first issue for a mere $1 under the Image Firsts reprint program.
Very, very good point. Good point indeed. Deadly Class is up to issue 50, on page 58. Great achievement for Rick Remender. As we conclude one of the story arcs here, A Fond Farewell Part 2. I believe this might be leading to the conclusion of the series, but don't quote me on that. I know I've been hearing things about it possibly coming to a close soon, and I know Remender has a new book launching out of Image very shortly. So either way, Deadly Class number 50, congratulations on the milestone.
Hear, hear.
Yep. And as we leave Image, 2 thoughts. One, we're going to have more to talk about soon in Image, as Mr. Kurt Busiek is bringing his wealth of books back to Image Comics.
Goody.
Yep. We're going to have Return to Astro City and recollections of Astro City under the Image banner, as well as a whole bunch of other Kurt Busiek titles that were various other places, whether it be DC or elsewhere. They're all going to be under the Image banner. And as reported at New York Comic Con, come January, the saga story continues.
Gentlemen, start your Us.
Oh man, I can't wait. I read it in trade. I'm picking this first issue up. It's been too freaking long, and I'm gonna need that in my life. It was such welcome news as I attended the Brian K. Vaughan panel and got that news. Yeah, I can't freaking wait.
Yep. I'm very happy for all of you who've been waiting so long and so anxiously for this moment.
Yep, definitely. Way too long. And I'll spoil a comic talk since I haven't actually read it yet, but by then I will have read it. I picked up volume 1 of Radiant Black, and I'll be discussing that on our next comic talk, as I'll at least have read a few issues of it by then, and pointing out Radiant Black number 11 on page 69. When Eberly talks something up, eventually I take the bait. How about this, real quick, before we leave Image? What's the furthest place from here deluxe edition? Matthew Rosenberg comes with a 7-inch record for $15 only. So you get the issue and you get the vinyl record for only $15.
Yes, in shocking pink vinyl, featuring the music of the Screaming Females and Worriers.
Yep, only available at comic shops, by the way. So that's the only place you're going to find this deluxe edition with the 7-inch record, and that's on page 77. So yeah, if you want it, you know where to find it. Meanwhile, Dark Horse. Shall we begin with the icon?
All right, and that is the title. It's not a mostly forgotten Marvel imprint. It's a character. Written by Dark Horse impresario Mike Richardson, art by Jordi Armengol, and it's the story of an old-fashioned pulp shadow-style two-gun vigilante who disappears, and the down-on-his-luck investigator who attempts to pick up the threads of this character's disappearance and finds more than he bargained for.
Send up the mat signal. Send up the mat signal. This one's for you, Matt. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Page 80, and love the look of the designs. It's very simple costumes. Just a whole bunch of black, and then a nicely drawn triangle on the chest of both the sidekick and the man himself. Yeah, let's see where this one goes.
Sort of makes one think of Tom Strong.
Good point. Well, this one's kind of in execution, costume wise, and feel. I kind of get like a Punisher meets Batman meets the Shadow going on here. All right, let's talk about Daisy on page 82, another gem of the month.
Daisy, give us your preview due.
Well played, sir. Well played. Colin Lorimer and Joanna Lafuente on the cover, but Colin Lorimer works on the writing and the artwork for this. It's a 5-issue mini. Desperate mother's 5-year search for her missing son leads her to the small town of Bremont and to the mysterious Phillips family. Daisy Phillips, like many teenagers, has a hard time fitting in, but not for the usual reasons. Daisy stands 8.5 feet tall and is still growing, but her troubles with ill health, daily ridicule, and custom-made clothing are only the tip of the iceberg. Daisy may well be descended from a race of cannibalistic giants, spawned from the outcasts of heaven.
Just typical teen stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Was not where I was expecting that solicitation to go, and very happy that it went that way, because, okay, you have me. And on page 82, and then the preview artwork on the next couple of pages, whoa, man. That is some strikingly rendered artwork on page 83, the very next page. Everybody looks realistic but not so realistic that it takes you out of it. It's beautifully drawn, beautifully rendered. Snow Angels Volume 1 on the very next page. Jeff Lemire, Jock. I mean, come on.
It feels like you don't need to hear that much more.
Exactly. This collects the first 4 issues of Snow Angel. It was a Comixology original digital series, and this will be the collected version of it in physical form for anybody who was waiting. Page 84. Anything else strike your fancy in Dark Horse?
There's something coming up. Here we go. You just came to it.
Aha!
One of the things that I'm most interested in the entire catalog this month, actually. It's on page 90, and it's called The All-Nighter. It's a trade paperback. Again, hot creator alert here. It's written by Chip Zdarsky, art by Jason Liu, and it's about an all-night diner run by vampires. And if that weren't an interesting enough concept to start with, one of them, as a result of watching a few too many superhero movies, decides to try his hand at putting on a costume and fighting crime. In addition to being a hash-slinging vampire as his, I hesitate to say day job, but night job in his case, since, vampire. But yeah, it's not only a story of a DIY vigilante, which is the sort of narrative I kind of enjoy, but it's also got the added novelty of being about a bunch of vampires running a greasy spoon and trying to fit in with humanity and resisting the urge to drink the blood of their more obnoxious customers. So yeah, it too, like that Snow Angels project you just mentioned. This is a reprint, or it's a first printing of something that was released digitally first.
Yep, and it's pretty new because even looking here and seeing about the All Nighter, the series itself. When you go under series for Comixology Originals, there's not much there. It's just issue 2 of the All Nighter is listed. I can't even find issue 1. So yeah, I'll look into this. I definitely want to check it out. And as an Amazon Prime person, I do have access to Comixology Originals. So I'd love to just read the All Nighter #1 and see what I think of it. And I mean, his last Comixology original, I mean, was terrific. I mean, that was After Shift that I recommended for the CGS awards that year. I'm happy to see Zdarsky, doing more for Comixology originals, and we have a Comixology original coming soon from Scott Snyder and Jamal Igle. So, also looking forward to that. Good times. All right, let's move on here to the trade paperback of the Masters of the Universe Revelations. We've mentioned it on other previews, so I won't go too far into it here, but this is a prequel to the Netflix animated series that Kevin Smith helmed. And Kevin Smith does write this along with Rob David and Tim Sheridan, with artwork by Mindy Lee and a cover by Rico Renzi. And this collects all 4 issues of this prequel series.
Yep, that Kevin Smith He-Man, like the most recent Bond movie I mentioned, and it was also divisive, but if you come down on the pro side of Kevin Smith's He-Man, well, here's more of it for you. It is the official prequel to that Netflix series.
Yes, indeed. All right, other things here in Dark Horse. Let's see if anything else catches my eye. The Worst Dudes, Aubrey Sitterson on page 95, collects all 5 issues of that. Another thing that I mentioned in previous previews, now all collected under one trade. It's about a dirty cop, a drugged up backup dancer, and an angsty adolescent god. Yeah, again, enough said.
Gotta love the title.
Yes, indeed. Yep. The Worst Dudes. Page 95. All right. Anything else catch you? Oh, yeah. You know what? I've mentioned that before. So, I think I'm good with the rest of the book. Anything else for you, sir?
Well, actually, I did see one trade a little bit further up that I'd like to name drop.
Sure. What page?
Yeah, keep scrolling. I'll let you know when I see it.
Excellent. I'm scrolling. I'm done with Dark Horse, so I must have.
Well, I mean, go back is what I meant to say.
Okay, sure thing. All right, what do we got?
There it is.
Ah, yes, Lucky Devil by Cullen Bunn.
That's the one. It's on page 96, I believe. It's a 4-issue miniseries collected here. It's about a poor guy who he gets possessed by a demon, gets most of the demon exorcised, but he finds himself left with the demon's powers. And he kind of goes on a spree, just making his wishes come true, especially the dark and bloody revenge-related ones. But there is hell to pay afterwards, so he finds himself a marked man. It's written by Cullen Bunn, art by Fran Galen. It's got the seal of approval of one of our favorite horror mavens, Sean Gabarine. Also known as White Sean. He was posting on Facebook a while ago that he really likes this miniseries, and he's a fan of many things horror. So if you too are a fan of many things horror, I think you could do worse than to try Lucky Devil.
Nice. And but Bunn is a name that is very rarely done wrong. So
I do agree.
Also of note, for anybody who might be interested in the all-nighter that we mentioned before, issue 1's not even out yet. It's not going to be out until February of 2022. So I guess this is an advanced solicitation for the trade paperback.
Way early.
Yeah. So anybody with Amazon Prime, you'll be able to read it in February for free. Plus anybody who happens to have Kindle Unlimited or Comixology Unlimited, that's all included with those subscriptions. So keep it in mind. All right, I think that's that for Dark Horse as we head to DC.
Yep. Because we still feel the absence of those integrated DC pages in the catalog like a phantom limb.
Yep. Basically. And for like the 9th time in the last 9 months, I feel like, Batman's on the cover.
Yep. Batman.
I do really like what they've done to Batman's costume. It's very streamlined, and we got that yellow oval going on. I'm completely digging it.
Yep, works for me too. Reminds me of what he was wearing during the Grant Morrison Batman Incorporated days.
Very good point. Yes, that's probably why I like it so much, because yeah, it is very reminiscent of that, even with the piping. And this is on page 1 here. A new chapter begins with Joshua Williamson and Jorge Molina. Batman number 118 with a new creative team and a start of a new story arc as Batman leaves Gotham. This has been coming for a little while now. And now it finally happens with Bruce deciding to lead Gotham for a brand new adventure. And where will this take him? We're about to find out.
Sounds healthy, frankly, for Bruce to get out of Gotham at this point.
I was going to say, yeah. Bad things seem to happen there.
Yeah. It just needs to breathe some different air. And sure enough, after mentioning Batman Incorporated, it looks like this new arc involves Batman seeking out the mysterious new benefactor of Batman Incorporated, which is apparently still solvent and still active in the DC universe.
Yeah, I kind of forgot it was too, and I think so did DC for a little bit, but I'm glad they remembered.
And they're throwing a new villain Batman's way, Abyss, who looks a bit like the old, early post-crisis Batman opponent, the Reaper. Come to think of it.
Yeah, I like the bodysuit, and I like the helmet. It's a good touch. A little bit of a Court of Owls thing going for it also, but we'll see exactly what his bag is soon enough. Got some character designs for Abyss on the very next page by Jorge Molina. That's on page 3. And that was, if we didn't mention it, that was Batman 119 on page 2. They solicited 2 Batman issues this month. And Mariko Tamaki continuing her detective comics with art by Dan Mora as we get to the aftermath of Fear State, and a striking cover here with Bruce with a bat emblazed on his back, kind of in a, can't tell if it's a scarring or if it's a tattoo. It might be a little bit of both, but page 3 has that and more.
Might just be blood or other fluid seeping out from under his bandages, too, conveniently into the shape of a bat.
Yeah, good point. And backup by Harley Quinn in the culmination of Foundations. The backup is by David Lapham and Stephanie Phillips.
Yep. Seems to be charting the future of Arkham Asylum in the wake of Fear State.
Yep. And as part of this new post-Batman world that we're living in Gotham, a book that makes me very happy on page 4. Batgirls #1, written by Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad. This looks like it's going to be so much fun.
Kind of a spiritual inheritor of the Babs Tarr Batgirl of Burnside run, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely. As we have Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown running around as Batgirls with Barbara Gordon as the Oracle in the sky. And they're not afraid to say the word Oracle anymore. For a while there they were, but now they're unafraid yet again. And maybe we'll see Barbara in the costume too, but for the most part, it looks like it's going to be Steph and Cassie stepping in.
It's good news all around, I say.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I'm just very happy in general to see Stephanie Brown back in a Batgirl costume, because talk about sweeping that under the rug after one of my favorite Batgirl runs, period. When they did the New 52, all of a sudden it was like, who's Stephanie? For a while there.
Yeah. Didn't see her in any form, and suddenly Barbara Gordon was back in the suit and mobile again, and yeah.
Yep.
Just didn't...
Convergence just annoyed me because they had that as one of the Convergence miniseries with Stephanie Brown Batgirl. Like, you're teasing me. I know she's not sticking around. Just come on, guys, come on.
Well, then we got her back as Spoiler, and now we've got her back in this form.
Yep, looking forward to it. And the second issue also solicited on page 5. We begin the new arc of Detective Comics on page 6, The Tower. Which has, again, a lot. First off, the Shadows of the Bat variant. It says it's not the final cover, so it may wind up, being something different. But it's a weekly, beginning in Detective Comics number 1047. So you're going to see this story run through, and they've got some striking covers by Irvin Rodriguez here. Very photorealistic, obviously with photo references, as we get the entire Bat crew lovingly rendered. Nightwing, Batwoman, Huntress, Cassie and Stephanie. They're all there for you.
Interior art will be by Ivan Reis and Danny Miki, which is not too shabby either.
Yeah, I mean, talk about bringing in your heavy hitters. That's one way to do that. Page 7 has the 1048, and then we see some artwork by Ivan on the next page 8, and it's beautiful as always.
And how?
Yep.
On page 9, we've got a Justice League annual written by Bendis with a nice Sanford Green. Wonder Woman returns to the team, and it's also the return of OMAC, quote, Jack Kirby's greatest creation. I don't know how anyone is even able to type something like that without being struck by lightning. I have no problem with OMAC. It's a cool idea, but it's not even Kirby's greatest creation for this publisher, let alone overall.
Tell me about it. Now, the cover for this by Sanford Green, tell me that doesn't have a Darwin Cook feel to it. Like, this is the color palette, very, very New Frontier.
Yep, I definitely see it, especially in there's just a look on Barry Allen's face there. It does feel like New Frontier.
Yep. And I love Sanford's art. I'm thrilled to see him getting a tag of the Justice League.
Definitely.
Yep.
And this issue is a lead in to an upcoming story, Justice League versus the Legion of Superheroes. So, hats off to you, Mr. Bendis, for continuing to try to keep the Legion fresh and relevant and in people's minds, because we've been without a Legion ongoing for too many, for too much of the past decade. Let's put it that way. You tried with an ongoing series, but it never quite took off.
Oh yeah. Yep. All right, page 10, Lonely City #2 with Cliff Chang, just pointing it out for the absolutely gorgeous cover, because that's what Cliff Chang does. And we're moving on here to some other stuff that is just a #1, and Jeff Lemire, Doug Mahnke, or is it Mankey? Swamp Thing Green Hell #1. I think I'm in for this. I mean, that's a creative team right there.
It's a creative team and a half.
Yep.
It looks like, 3 48 page issues,
Yep.
miniseries. And it's kind of post-apocalyptic. There's only a small pocket of humanity left on an isolated island. The avatars of the green, the red, and the rot are all getting together and saying, hey, let's just wipe the whole biosphere clean and start over. So they pool the resources and create a terrifying new avatar of destruction. And Alec Holland seems to be the only thing, as a former representative of the Green, that stands in this thing's way, but Alec Holland is still dead. So, where do you go from there?
It's a very good question, and if anyone's going to give you that answer, it's going to be Jeff Lemire, and this is a 17-plus Black Label book, and I imagine this is going to look beautiful, collected, and that may be how I get to it, because, oof, look at that artwork. So good. And then on the very next page, welcome to the world of Krypton.
Thanks, it's good to be here. Yeah, it's another 6-issue miniseries. This is on page 14, written by Robert Venditti, another reliable craftsman in just traditional superheroics at DC lately. Art by Michael Avon Oeming. And a cover by, that's a variant, I guess. What's shown here is a variant by Francesco Francavilla.
Yep.
Feature spotlight on Kellex the robot. So, this is dipping back once again into the pre-cataclysm late history of Superman's home planet. We're going to get little Kara Zor-El in there. We're going to get Superman's parents and the Science Council and all that. It seems like well-trodden ground, but I'm willing to come along for another treading of it just to support a Superman title, to send the message to DC fiscally that they should be publishing more with this character.
Yep, and to support Avon Oeming, because again, beautifully rendered artwork here by him.
Yep, got to agree. I'm stuck in 2005 as I am. I'm reading some things that he wrote for Marvel at that time period, which are a little hit or miss. But I think I appreciate him more as an artist than I do as a writer. Oh, and here's a thing that I am kind of torn about. On page 16, gotta love the title, One Star Squadron. One star is in Uber ratings, basically. It's another concept that DC's tried a few different times over the years. They've had Hero Hotline in the 80s. They had the Giffen, DeMatteis, and Maguire Super Buddies, the old Justice League Wahaha characters in the early 2000s. And here we have One Star Squadron, which is about a bunch of lower tier heroes and even a couple of villains who seem to have decided to turn over a new leaf. I see the Folded Man there on the left-hand side, with Red Tornado kind of playing the role of straight man that John Jones did in the Bwahaha Justice League days. We've also got Power Girl for some reason, Firehawk, a new version of the Heckler, of a Giffen character, and it breaks my heart a little bit to see him here, but Flying Fox, of the Young All-Stars, a character who's not really been used since the Young All-Stars days. I've been wondering when someone would remember he existed, and sure enough, apparently it was by writer Mark Russell and artist Steve Lieber, who probably dug him up from an issue of the Who's Who, like 80 update, and put him on this team of low-rent superheroes who run a respond for pay superhero helpline. Yeah, it's Mark Russell is a quality. He's a good writer. He does satire extremely well, and that's clearly what he's doing here. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't feel like seeing these particular characters used in this way.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Although, there's one character right here that's being depicted that I really hope is the character that I think it is. There was a character that was introduced during Gail Simone's Birds of Prey run that had a very similar look to this. Like a young wasn't she like a young teleporter or something along those lines?
I don't
Kind of
remember the power set, but the name Misfit sticks in my mind.
Misfit. Thank you. That's exactly who I'm thinking of. Yeah, because that's who I'm thinking. Just even looking at this here, I don't know whether that is Misfit, but I hope it is. And in my head canon, that's exactly who that is.
Yeah, I think I may give this a quick flip through on the Golden Eagle racks before I commit to buying it.
Yeah, I know that it's also going to have a new take on Our Man as one of the other characters, but they're very much going to be leaning into the junkie aspect of it, specifically like Miraclo works even less well for this individual. So like he needs a hit like that much more often in order to actually get his power set.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we'll all see where that goes for us here.
It's a great creative team. It just doesn't seem like a very inspired concept to me.
Yeah.
That I'll say for now, and we'll see what the actual product turns out to be.
Wasn't the Power Company also a sort of a Heroes for Hire-esque thing, or am I remembering that?
Kind of. It was a superhero team, but it wasn't really. I mean, this is described as a pro-capitalist super team. But they weren't so much superheroes for hire as they were like they were corporately organized and run, but they did their work pro bono.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So something similar to actually what's going on right now in the Spider-Man books with the Beyond Corporation.
The Beyond Corporation.
Yep. Yeah. That sounds like it's more similar to that then. Yep.
Well, you'll hear more about it soon. It's next up in line for the Time Bubble.
Excellent. I loved that series back in the day. All right, Static Season 1 on page 18 with Vita Ayala and Nicholas Draper Ivory and Chris Cross. This collects the first 6 issues of the new Static run and the return of the Milestone universe. So check that out on page 18. And they then, the Milestone Compendium 1 on page 19 collects a whole bunch of old school Milestone action that has not been recollected in many a year, featuring Dwayne McDuffie, Ivan Velez, John Rossum, Robert L. Washington III, and various others. Art by Dennis Cowan, John Paul Leone. List goes on and on. But this is a huge collection: Blood Syndicate 1 through 12, Hardware 1 through 12, Icon 1 through 10, Static 1 through 8, Zombie with an X 0 through 11. And Shadow Cabinet number 0.
That is 1,300 pages worth of classic Milestone in a soft cover form. Yeah, it's $60 for that much is not too much to ask at all.
Yeah, no, I completely agreed. Yeah, I mean you'll have to make room for it on your shelf, but yeah, that's a really good price for what they're giving you. And then represent. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that was so white, listeners. I'm so sorry. Page 20, stories of personal experiences, unheard voices, and social revolution. New voices present relevant, topical visions of social change and personal histories, some true to life, while others are semi-fictionalized across accounts of real experiences. All have one thing in common: innovative styles and compelling stories, which examine how our culture builds understanding, tracing society's arc toward justice as we evolve in pursuit of a more just and compassionate world. Includes talent spotlights. And this is a whole bunch of creators here together in one anthology here for Represent.
Interesting to note, one of the writers is the same guy that just walked off of Superman because he was tired of all the woke stuff going on.
And I have a feeling he will not be there for this issue. I believe Gabe El-Tayeb may very well be excised from this very collection here, but we shall see.
Yep, it's not due to go on sale until February, so there's plenty of time to snip his stuff out if that is the case.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't, then I guarantee you this will probably be one of the last things you see Gabe El-Tayeb's name on when it comes to DC Comics, and you can look more into that if you feel like it, because I am not talking about that any longer here outside of the fact that he's now no longer working for DC Comics. Enough said.
Moving on.
Exactly. Absolute Doomsday Clock.
Mm-hmm.
You had Doomsday Clock before, now it's absolute.
Yep, so if you got tired of waiting for this thing to come out in issues and then waited so long that you forgot that you could buy it in trade or hardcover, well, now you can get the gigantic absolute treatment version.
Yep. Page 20.
And for Gary Frank artwork, it might actually be worth it.
Oh yeah, no, that's a given there. $125 for 496 pages may not exactly be worth it, but hey, if you're into it, be my guest, ladies and gentlemen. Be my guest, because again, it's Gary Frank artwork. It's going to be gorgeous. Page 22, just bit too much. But it's okay. They also made an absolute of Dark Knight's Metal, which is also $125, and that's 400 pages versus the 496 pages of Doomsday Clock.
Yeah,
that's on page 23. Mm-hmm. But hey, absolute again. Hadn't seen a lot of absolutes out of DC for a while, so that it is nice to at least see the format back.
Oh, for sure.
Yep. Batman: The Long Halloween, Catwoman When in Rome, the Deluxe Edition. Sequel to Batman: The Long Halloween on page 25. This is the hardcover collection of that Loeb and Sale Long Halloween continuation. And this may actually be worth the hardcover treatment.
Yeah. Just wondering why they felt it was necessary to put Batman: the Long Halloween: in front of it to sell it, because it's. I just read the story not long ago. It didn't really have much to do with the Long Halloween.
But if they say it does, then clearly it does. Isn't that the way it works? If you say something, then it's absolutely true.
Especially if you say it on the internet.
That's true. And if you put colons in between it, that also helps. Here we are with Batman White Knight Presents, Harley Quinn on page 28. At least these colons make a little bit more sense, but you also could have just said White Knight Presents and it would have worked just fine, but then you wouldn't be able to put Batman in there. And Batman sells.
Apparently so, because he's not a very strong presence in that Catwoman When in Rome thing we just talked about. But
no,
it's there, but he's really not the focus. Yep. It's a Catwoman story.
Mm-hmm.
This seems like it's got a lot more to do with Harley Quinn than with Batman, and you'd think that by now she's a big enough name that she could headline.
Sure. Yep, and I would agree with that. And it's part of the White Knight universe, and yes, that is a Batman property. But yes, I agree. You probably could have just done White Knight Presents Harley Quinn and made it work, rather than making that very, very long title on page 28.
Absurd colon sandwich.
1 through 6 of this collection, and Harley Quinn Black and White and Red, chapter 6. Connor and Palmiotti's Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, The Hunt for Harley, also collected on page 29. All 4 issues of that. It's Connor and Palmiotti, so that you know it's going to be a good time.
Mm-hmm. At least.
Mm-hmm.
And this looks like more of DC's young adult appeal line here on page 30. Green Arrow Stranded, which is kind of an Elseworlds in which Oliver Queen, when he gets he spends his fateful stint on a desert island, he crashes a plane there at the age of 13, and his dad is with him to help teach him the survival lessons that lead to him ultimately becoming Green Arrow. Written by Brendan Deneen and illustrated by Bel Hossala.
Nice. Very, very beautiful artwork on the following pages on page 31 and 32. And then here we are with the truncated solicitations for everything else that DC can't be bothered to give a page.
And wouldn't you know, it's most of the stuff that I'm most interested in buying from them.
But of course. Oh, look at how pretty that cover is for Batman 89 number 6 on page
Extremely. 32. Oh, and it is the Michelle Pfeiffer stitched together vinyl costume too.
Yep, you got it. On that's number 5, and then number 6 with the Batman coming down and the dots and what have you.
Oh, that's a string of pearls.
Oh, that is a string of pearls. How about them apples? Oh, great, a string of pearls. That's not a good sign. Should have gathered that it's Batman. Booster Gold number 5 on page 34 for the Shanes out there. Blue and gold, that is. Dan Jurgens, art and cover by Ryan Sook. DC Horror presents Soul Plumber. That's number 4 on page 35. I just wanted to say Soul Plumber.
I don't blame you a bit. Oh, more Future State Future State?
What?
That's still going on, huh?
What?
Future State Gotham.
That's weird. I swore they were done with this. All right. Why not?
I guess they took the one that sold the best and made an ongoing out of it.
I guess. Or this is just that delayed, which is also possible. But yeah, Future State Gotham number 8 and 9 solicited on page 36, long after all the rest has gone. I love the cover to Human Target number 3 on page 37.
I love every single piece of art I've seen from that Human Target series so far.
Yep.
You know, I waited for the trade on Tom King's last couple of projects. I'll be doing that for Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. But this, I can't wait. I can't resist. I'll be getting the issues of Human Target.
And speaking of Tom King, we'll also hear more from him to come, as he's been teasing on Facebook a creator-owned project.
His first.
Yep. Can't wait to hear about that. Page 38 has Justice League 71 with Bendis and Ram V. Art by Phil Hester. Phil Hester. Oof. Yes.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
And the Royal Flush Gang. Yep,
and the Royal Flush Gang. That's my in right there.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I also heard that Pennyworth is coming to HBO Max finally.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because I don't think anybody watched it on Epix, because I don't think anybody has Epix.
Exactly the point I was about to make. So, yeah, there'll be a much bigger ready-made audience for it on HBO Max. So, good news.
Yep, definitely. That was, if you're wondering why I suddenly said that, number 5 and number 6 on page 40.
And then speaking of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, there's number 6 featuring the return of Comet the Super Horse.
Yay!
So, yeah, that seals the deal on my buying the trade of this eventually. I can't miss a Comet the Super Horse story.
Did you see the trailer to the Super Pets movie?
I did.
I figured that'd be right up your alley.
Yeah. The only thing I would have done differently is call it Legion of Super Pets, but I guess League is more of a cachet these days among the uninitiated.
Yeah, fair enough. That was on page 42, by the way, issue 6 and issue 7 of the 8-issue Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, that is.
By Tom King and Bilkis Eveli.
And right underneath that is Superman 78, number 5, continuing the Brainiac storyline there. Superman, Son of Kal-El. I'm definitely going to have to start reading this just to see what it's all about with all the hubbub of late. But I've just in general heard very positive things about the book. And it's Tom Taylor, so it's bound to be, at least, readable in one way or the other. But I've been hearing super good things about it. And I think if issue 6 is out, issue 1 should be on the DC Infinite app shortly. So I'll check it out once it's there.
John Kent and his new ally, Jay Nakamura. Issue number 6.
Indeed.
Got 2 issues of the Batman and Scooby-Doo mysteries coming out in December and January. They're just soliciting them both back to back here on page 43 and 44 of the catalog. There's a Riddler story in number 9, written by Shali Fish, and in number 10, it had to happen. Shaggy Man meets Shaggy.
I love it. How have they not done this before?
Don't know, but they're rectifying it in January.
And then on page 44, the Flash number 777 has Wally West in Gem World with Amethyst and Justice League Dark.
Taking on Eclipso, another Gem-themed character. So further evidence that Jeremy Adams is really kicking butt and taking names on his Flash run.
Most definitely. Because after all, Gem is excitement. All right, moving on.
Gem is its name. Nothing else is the same.
Amen to that. Okay. Look at this cover here on page 46 for Wonder Woman 782. Whenever I see the Dodsons get to draw Wonder Woman again, it just makes me super happy. We get that here.
Even if it is just a cover.
Yep. But still, Becky Coonan, Michael Conrad, and Vita Ayala with artwork by Marcio Takara and Skylar Patridge. And again, that cover there by the Dodsons with all the different Wonder Women attacking Wonder Woman. Looks like good times. And onward to the rest of the trades that are being solicited. How about Legion of Superheroes Before the Darkness, Volume 2? Got some Conway, Roy Thomas, and Paul Levitt's Legion action.
Well, Steve Ditko artwork? I didn't know he drew anything for the Legion.
Neither did I. Maybe perhaps it was DC Special Series. Because I see that it includes Legion of Superheroes 272 to 283, and then DC Special Series number 21, and then the Best of DC Blue Ribbon Digest number 24. So I'm wondering if it's one of those others.
Some Bronze Age Legion oddities there.
Yep.
Good stuff.
And then right next to that is that Crime Syndicate series that we talked about quite a bit. Page 47 for all that. And that is that with DC. But I will mention, just because they advertise it, we'll talk about this more in a comic talk. Batman The Audio Adventures, an HBO Max original. New podcast series streaming starring Jeffrey Wright as Batman with John Leguizamo, Rosario Dawson, and more. I am so in on that. You had me at Jeffrey Wright as Batman. That is, I love hearing that man talk.
Okay, remind me who he is. What else has he done?
Jeffrey Wright has been in many things over the years. He was in Boardwalk Empire for quite some time. Jeffrey Wright is currently the Watcher on What If.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yep, on What If. Say no more.
Yep.
I knew I'd heard the name somewhere recently. Just couldn't place it.
You also heard him as playing Commissioner Gordon in the upcoming The Batman.
Okay. So
So
that's the Robert Pattinson Batman thing?
yes, indeed. And the second trailer for that came out, and now I'm really, really looking forward to it. Looks like it's going to be kind of like everything I've been waiting for in a Batman movie, weirdly enough.
Uh, I'm not sold yet. I'm
Eh,
sure I'll
fair
end up
enough.
seeing it, but yeah.
I know the Riddler needs more question marks. I do fully admit that, but there's only so far we can go with that.
Cappuccino foam only gets you so far.
All right, moving over to IDW on page 108. We started off with Usagi Yojimbo Tengu War by Stan Sakai. That's Usagi's newest adventure, which finds him fighting in a war alongside an old teacher and strange new allies and helping a new friend complete a mission. That's on page 108. Winner of the 2021 Eisner Award for Best Continuing Series and Best Letterer.
Best letterer. All right.
Yep.
Stan Sakai.
Indeed. And this is almost to the end of IDW's time with Star Wars, as we reported on our previous comic talk, that soon enough Marvel seemed to uphold, well, Marvel and Disney seemed to uphold Star Wars entirely from IDW. So this is some of the last stuff we'll see with Charles Soule, Claudia Gray, Justina Ireland, Daniel Jose Older, and Kevin Scott here on Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures Annual 2021 on page 110.
Yep, dig that. Charles Soule fans out there, and you know who you are. Here's a Charles Soule Star Wars story for you.
Yep.
Among others.
Charles Soule, I know from long before his Marvel and DC days, and he was always very good to me as a podcaster. I remember he came out with a book about a retired luchador that I promoted heavily and actually interviewed him for at New York Comic Con one year, and it's called Strongman. As a second, I think the second book came out with Image, if I remember correctly, but it was a lot of fun. And Charles is good people.
Glad to know it.
Dave Stevens' The Rocketeer Artist Edition on page 111. If you have the money for an artist edition, this is definitely one to get.
Yep, 12 inches by 17 inches in glorious black and white, which is a good treatment for an old-fashioned character like the Rocketeer to get. Just drool over that glorious Golden Age style Dave Stevens artwork at your leisure.
You got it. Yep. Happy to see it. And then, very next page, 112, Bermuda by John Layman and Nick Bradshaw. What a team. What a team. There's a region in the Atlantic Ocean where planes disappear, ships are lost, and traveling souls go missing, never to be heard from again. And there's an island within this place, mysterious and uncharted, untouched by time and civilization, where all who are lost end up. It's a mysterious place inhabited by dinosaurs, pirates, crazed magicians, strange monsters, and a girl named Bermuda. On page 112. I gotta read this.
I have the first couple issues in my hands, Ian, and it lives up to the hype artwork here. It is gorgeously rendered stuff.
Excellent.
Lush tropical settings, exotic looking monsters, action and adventure. It's all you could want.
Now, the one thing this solicitation doesn't actually tell us is how many issues are being collected here.
I think it's 4 total.
Okay, got it. All right, then, yeah, this is coming in February 2022, so it is an advanced solicitation like most trades are, and you can check it out on page 112. In Baby In. Enough said. Want to call out some Godzilla action?
I would be happy to. This is another one of these Godzilla Rivals one-shots that IDW has been putting out on roughly a quarterly basis. 52 pages, and it's a Godzilla versus King Ghidorah story, and you gotta love the cover treatment there. It's kind of a King of Spades image with Godzilla on the upright side and Ghidorah on the flip side. And it's a gladiatorial style battle between Godzilla and the King, instigated by Martian invaders. Perfect. Written by Adam Gorham and also drawn by Adam Gorham with a cover by E.J. Sue.
I adore what IDW has done with Godzilla the past couple of months, and this continues that. Page 115. Anybody who's a fan of Godzilla, check this out. And then on page 116, Godzilla Monsters and Protectors Rise Up by Eric Burnham, art by Dan Schoening. I'm almost reminded of Godzilla and Godzuki.
That's my thoughts exactly, Ian. It's like Godzilla and the Planeteers, maybe.
It's a whole bunch of kids gathering together in a middle grade graphic novel adventure with Godzilla as their pal. Let's just go ahead and dive right in, shall we? Page 116. And all right, I'll do the Chris. There we are on page 17. Oh my God, page 117. John Buscema's Silver Surfer Artisan Edition. Wow. In 8.18 by 12 size for $40. Complete 5, 6, and 8 from the acclaimed original run by Stan Lee. If anything deserves the artisan treatment, it is this. That looks amazing.
Yep, this is at a slightly smaller scale and slightly smaller price point than some of the other artisan editions they've done. So, for the budget-minded classic Marvel fan, this might be your chance to see what all the fuss is about.
Yep. Plus, it has the blue pencil notations, margin notes, whiteout. You get the whole bag here. It's like you're reading it straight from the original boards. Terrific. All right, I think that's all I have for IDW. What say ye?
I'll let you know as we continue to scroll on down here.
You know what? I'll again, just because they're not. It's not going to be here much longer. Page 123. I will point out as well. Star Wars Adventures: The Weapon of a Jedi. Jason Fry and Alec Worley. Art by Ruari Coldman. Discover an untold chapter in Luke Skywalker's journey from orphan to Jedi Knight in the middle-age graphic novel set between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back.
It's amazing how much room there seems to be for untold chapters between those two movies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's about as many as they need.
There's something that Chris would probably shout out were he with us. Yep. It's a one-shot, a part of the Star Trek The Mirror War overarching story that IDW has been publishing here. Written by Celeste Bronfman, art by Roberta Ingranata, and it's a spotlight on the Mirror Universe version of Data. A little interlude here in between issues of the Mirror War miniseries that IDW is publishing right now.
Nice. I'll give my further thoughts on Star Trek Prodigy on our next comic talk, but oof, I am so happy. Did not disappoint in that premiere. Did not disappoint. All right, I think it's time for Marvel.
All right.
Okay.
Make ours Marvel.
Indeed. Now, for those of you who, depending on where you download it or read it from, the Marvel solicitations actually start off with a full preview of Devil's Reign #1 by Chip Zdarsky and Marco Checchetto, which looks like it's picking up right where Zdarsky's Daredevil left off. And this is going to be, what he's doing next. It's going to include the Ben Reilly Spider-Man from the looks of the Spider-Man costume that's being displayed here. The artwork is excellent, and it's Zdarsky, so I can't wait to read this. This is an actual 6-issue, crossover event that I'm looking forward to. Wilson Fisk went from kingpin to mayor of the biggest city in America and is going to bring his full criminal and political power to bear on the superheroes who call New York City home. The man who once destroyed Daredevil has set his sights on the Fantastic Four, Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and more. And since it's Fisk, once he takes them all down, you know he's going to sign it. Crossbones, Taskmaster, Typhoid Mary, Shocker, Whiplash, Rhino, and Kraven, all here for you in this first issue.
And then some, because Dr. Octopus is waiting in the wings. See on that cover. So it's the army of villains angle that's most interesting to me about this story.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's in the solicit for number 2 down below there. I think it mentions that, also in this issue, His Honor Fisk isn't the only one with ambitions. The forces he's marshaled do as well. You know what they say about honor among thieves. You see, that gives me a little more hope for this story, that there's going to be some characterization and some divergent motives for some of the supernumerary villains that Fisk has pressed into service here. I don't want them all just to be non-speaking extras in this story. I want all these villains to have their own plans and hopes and dreams, and maybe some that run counter to the Kingpin's own. That's what makes this sound interesting to me. So hopefully the story itself will deliver on what seems to be promised in that little sentence that I just read. And
the sentence that you didn't read in issue 2 that I thought you were going to read, Fisk takes his most dangerous and craven step yet. The Thunderbolts are reporting for duty.
That's nice too.
Yes. Yeah, and I was driving through New Jersey this past weekend and came across a place called Fisk Industries while I was doing so. So clearly, I know where Wilson's been hiding.
Yep, you posted that to Facebook, and I think all of the super group got a good laugh out of
it. Meanwhile, Timeless #1.
Yes, which is a one-shot featuring the man who is at certain times known as Kang. And he's lived many lives, he's conquered many time periods, and here's a 56-page one-shot about him on the heels of that miniseries that Marvel has just been doing. It's written by Jed MacKay. It's got artwork in it by Kev Walker and Mark Bagley.
Yep, just Kev Walker and Mark Bagley, nobody else. No one else is in it but Kev Walker and Mark Bagley.
Yep, there's enough time for them to fill those pages by that other guy with art by somebody else.
I'm pretty sure they already have, actually, if memory serves correctly. But this looks like it's going to be some good Kang action here on page 8. How do you win a war against time?
Yep, definitely count me in for that one.
All right. Then, boy,
Avengers Forever.
Boy. Wow.
It's not the Avengers Forever, but it's an Avengers Forever, and it looks pretty good in its own right.
Yeah. So this just seems to be what Jason Aaron's doing now, is bringing back the older events and giving new spins and new takes on them. We had Heroes Reborn not too long ago, and now here we are with Avengers Forever. It's Jason Aaron and it's Aaron Kuder, and I love that they had the quote unquote hidden gem variant be a literal page from Avengers Forever, because that is one of my favorite pages from the final issue of Avengers Forever as the hidden gem variant with the Pacheco artwork there. But I really, really cannot wait to see where this is going to go. An all-new series starring the Avengers of the Multiverse.
And of all people, Robbie Reyes, the Ghost Rider, seems to be at the center of it.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. But let's talk about Tony Stark, the Invincible Ant-Man.
That's new.
Yep. Man. Yeah, I'll read this. Even if I'm not caught up on Jason Aaron's Avengers, which I won't be because I'm like 45 issues behind, I am going to read Avengers Forever. That's kind of like a given because it's one of my favorite series of all time, and I love the multiverse.
Yep, same here. So I will at least check it out on the rack.
Yep. Look at all these different variations of Avengers we have here on this this cover here, this cover treatment.
Yep, there certainly are a lot of them. And look, even Captain Carter makes the scene.
Oh yeah, good point. And at least one that is very familiar. That's the Earth X. They're kind of simulacrums, aren't they? Like of the Avengers.
Yeah. They're droids in essence. They're the Iron Avengers.
Yep. All right, let's see. Then Demon Days, Rising Storm #1, Peach Momoko on writing and artwork. That's a great reason to point this out, and a terrific variant cover by Gurahiro. Yeah, I'm interested in this on that alone. There's no calm before this storm, as Storm and Thor team up.
Yeah, that all red variant is pretty nice too.
Yes, it is. All that on page 12 for you. Moving on to number on page 15, Amazing Spider-Man number 80. Bay. We return to the Bay. It's a great Mark Bagley cover here, even though he's not on the interiors. Ivan Fiorelli is on the art here. Cody Ziegler on the writing. With her nephew at death's door, May Parker is not just going to sit around and accept Peter's ailments aren't solvable with conventional means. She's going to seek unconventional means by way of her ex-fiancé, Doc Ock.
The power couple is back.
Yes.
Maybe it'll be less silly this time.
You mean no nuclear islands this time around?
Preferably not.
Darn. I'm very disappointed. Oh boy. Oh, actually, as an update, Mr. Bennett, as we were teasing for that Timeless, he's being replaced by Greg Land. So Greg Land is doing the artwork instead of Joe Bennett.
So be it.
Yep. All right, back to the solicitations here. Page 16, Amazing Spider-Man number 81. The Scarlet Spider-esque Miles Morales in his hoodie costume, taking on Ben Reilly in the Spider-Man costume. Written by Saladin Ahmed, who wrote Miles for quite some time, with artwork by Carlos Gomez. I am looking forward to this issue. Amazing Spider-Man number 81, page 16.
Looks good. Those are two striking variant costume designs.
Yes, they are. They really are. And then, how about this cover for Amazing Spider-Man number 82 on the very next page? Damn, man. Whew.
Spider-Man drama in the big city.
Mm-hmm. Art Adams on the cover. I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah, it's actually not what I usually expect from Art Adams, but it looks great.
Yeah. You know, I actually thought for a minute it was Bradshaw rather than Adams. I mean, they have. I mean, Nick Bradshaw has a similar enough style to Art Adams, but
yes, without question, I think he must have been inspired by Art Adams.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yep. But beautiful cover here for issue 82. And then the very next page has issue 83, and that's written and drawn by Pat Gleason. And this one looks like it's going to have the Peter Parker Spider-Man from the looks of the cover.
Mm-hmm. So is Amazing Spider-Man weekly right now? Are they doing that again?
Yes, at this particular moment, they're weekly because they're supposed to be leading up to if not a milestone issue, then at least a milestone year, as we are approaching 60, if I remember correctly. And
yeah, next year, 2022, yeah.
Yeah, so I believe they're trying to fit it as much Beyond as they can fit in. Beyond is supposed to go, I believe, 18 issues, and then we'll get the 60th celebration with the reset and whoever they're bringing on as the new as the new creator, they have not announced yet, who is probably Chip Zdarsky. But we'll see. I honestly, I can't even think of who else they could possibly bring on to make it like extra special. But hey, you never know. For all we know, it could be Kurt Busiek. I don't freaking know.
That would be terrific, but no, I think you've picked the safer bet there, though.
Yeah, definitely. I'll point out too, this cover is also by Art Adams, and this is on page 19, and I would have sworn it was JRJR.
Does look a bit like that, yeah.
Yeah, this is, man. I mean, there's not a bad cover in the bunch. It's just it's interesting. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is by Corey Smith, not by Art Adams. That makes more sense. Okay, yeah.
You can sign it at the bottom there.
Yep.
Yeah, but you're right about the JR Jr. similarity, though. If this were Art Adams, I would have expected him to articulate each and every segment of Ox Tentacles.
Good point. Yeah. But you can clearly see that he's drawing inspiration from the earlier Ben Reilly years when JRJR drew a lot of them.
Yep, I definitely see it.
Mm-hmm. Jurgens gets to draw him soon, and I cannot wait to see him do that for the first time in a while.
So cool. Yep, because he's the one who designed that Ben Reilly costume, after all.
Indeed. Yep. Still a huge fan of that costume to this day. And Inferno number 4 of 4 on page 20. And this is the end of Jonathan Hickman's run on X-Men. A dramatic conclusion here. Happened a little bit earlier than it was originally planned. Apparently, Jonathan Hickman has something huge coming out of Marvel. Plus, he has his own stuff that he's doing to the side. But yeah, this concludes Hickman's era of X-Men here with Inferno number 4.
Yep, I still haven't gotten on board at the beginning. I have to find myself trades of like House of X, Powers of 10. That's where it all began, right?
Yes, yeah. House of X, Powers of 10 is 100% where it began. Yep.
All right. Well, that's definitely on my shopping list. But
and you like this cover here with
yes. Oh yes, yep. I do.
The image for those audio listeners is Mystique half transformed into Destiny, and oof, beautiful.
Yep, her lost lover,
mm-hmm.
who remains lost thanks to the machinations of certain parties on Krakoa, and that's what sets this whole Inferno thing into motion.
Exactly. Yep. All right, Mad Scientist Part 2 of 6 here. Donny Cates, Ryan Otley. I need to find out what the hell is going on, because Bruce Banner finally has total control with the Hulk locked away. With a tight grip of his plans, Bruce forgot one thing: variables can happen at any time, and this one even Bruce couldn't have imagined. And this is a variant cover, so it could potentially not be what's happening inside the issue.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it isn't. It says it's a Devil's Reign variant cover specifically, so they just dressed Hulk up as Kingpin and slapped it on there. I don't think it relates to the actual arc.
Okay, because I was wondering if somehow Mr. Fix-It and Green got together and made a baby. Like this is basically what it looks like to me more than anything else.
Stranger things have happened in the world of the Hulk.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, I do think that's just a variant meant to cross-promote the Devil's Reign story and not something that actually relates to the story being told in the issue.
Fair enough. Still a cool image nonetheless.
It is indeed.
That was page 22, and then the actual cover for Hulk on page 23.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Mr. Soul, on page 24, Elektra Black, White, and Blood, number 1 of 4, doing the whole black and white thing for Elektra this time around, with Declan Shelby and Leonardo Romero along for the ride, with artwork by Leonardo Romero and others. Fact, noun. Fact, definition of fact. 1. A, something that has actual existence. B, an actual occurrence. C, Elektra Nachios is the best assassin in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, Merriam-Webster wouldn't sign off on that entry.
No, I don't believe so. Although, speaking of JRJR, he does have the cover for the variant. And, yep, That's a JR because there's rain. There's lots and lots of rain.
Exactly. Yeah, that's. Yeah, I'm not usually a very big fan of J.R. Jr.'s artwork. In fact, I openly dislike it most of the time, but I do not dislike that image at all. That looks
Oh
good.
yeah, that is very nice. Yep. Then on page 26, Jason Aaron and Mahmoud Asrar on King Conan, number 1 of 6.
Hmm.
I think Mr. Eberly would be pointing this one out as Conan's last stand at the edge of the world. Aaron's return to the Conan saga.
A variant cover by Stan Sakai. He's actually drawing a human being on that cover.
Yeah, how about them apples? Nice one, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, don't dare miss the first issue of the Adventure of a Lifetime, they call it. And it's Aaron and Asrar, so like, yeah, that's a team right there.
It is.
Excellent artwork. Wouldn't expect anything less. All right. Issue 2 of Walter Mosley's Thing miniseries, solicited on page 32. Always have to scroll down a page or scroll up a page to find out what page I'm on.
Yes,
yeah, I'm
half-assed pagination.
But we mentioned issue 1 last month, but just wanted to point out issue 2 here because this looks like it's going to be a good story. Saladin Ahmed returning to Ms. Marvel on page 34 as Andres Genolet on artwork, 5-issue miniseries here, Ms. Marvel Beyond the Limit.
Kamala Khan does Bollywood.
In Chicago, nonetheless, of all places.
Why is everyone she knows singing? And how could you make it stop? So, once more with feeling, Kamala.
Oh man, yeah, this is going to be fun. And then look at this frickin' Alex Ross cover for Captain America Iron Man number 2.
I can't stop looking at it. Wow.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right, spinning out of the Old Man Logan universe on page 37 and 38. Wastelanders Wolverine number 1. Stephen S. DeKnight and Ibrahim Mustafa bring this to us as we return to the Old Man Logan universe for the first time in a little while to see what brings us to the Wastelands. And again, excellent artwork on display here. And we get not just that, but also Wastelands Hawkeye by Ethan Sachs and Ibrahim Robertson. And then Wastelanders Doom as well. And Wastelanders Black Widow. So they're doing a lot of this. And Wastelanders Star-Lord. Okay, now there's too much.
It looks like they're, except for maybe Wolverine, they're all one-shots, though. So
yeah. So, all right. Still cool.
And here's, okay, the Darkhold thing that Steve Orlando was spearheading. Here's another one of a series of one-shots of a variety of heroic characters who have encountered the Darkhold. And that's followed up by the Darkhold Omega bookend, which we get to on page 43, which is written by Orlando with art by Cian Tormey.
Yep.
And it wraps the whole thing up with a nice, neat bow.
Mm-hmm. The other one was the Darkhold Spider-Man on the page before. Alex Packnadel and Diogenes Neves. All right, let's go back to the world of X-Men Legends, shall we? As we're done with the Wolverine story. And page 46 brings back Fabian Nicieza, and for the first time, Dan Jurgens on X-Men.
That is nothing to sneeze at. Has he really never turned in any X-Men art ever?
I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Dan said that this was the first time. If not the first time, it's one of the few times. That much I know for sure.
I can't remember another time.
Yeah, because he posted this to Facebook after it was announced, and he said when immediately when he got the news that he was going to be able to work on the X-Men in any form, let alone with Fabian, he jumped at the opportunity, and this tells a untold Mr. Sinister story during Nicieza's run, and yeah, that's awesome.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you would have had me at Untold Mr. Sinister story, but the creative team sells it even further.
Oh,
Definitely
absolutely.
back on board for this.
Yep.
And upcoming in the future months, there will be a Chris Claremont written early kind of a prequel to Excalibur.
Ooh, wow.
Yep,
Okay.
bridging the gap between Fall of the Mutants and the start of that series. The sword is drawn. So, yep, I'll be doing that too.
They're kind of knocking it out of the park with these X-Men Legends. I mean, the fact that I've been interested in almost all of them so far, outside of the Rogue Larry Hama Wolverine, but that's just because neither one of us were really into that back in the day. So
Yeah, but there's plenty of people who were. So there's something here for every taste.
Oh, definitely. Yep. Yeah. I'm waiting for something Generation X. I think eventually we'll get there.
Yep, it is virtually inevitable.
Yep.
You think they'll bring in Lobdell for that?
Oh, I certainly hope so. But I mean, we'll see. I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure how much Lobdell Marvel is willing to do at this point. But if not, maybe they'll even get Nicieza or Jim Mahfood. I mean, that would certainly be a score.
Well, Larry Hama had a run on Generation X too, although it wasn't all that good.
Yep. Yeah, looking here, yes, I was right. The Games Radar / Newsarama posted on September 13th. This is Dan Jurgens' first ever X-Men story.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hard to believe for somebody who's been in the, who's been in the in Marvel and DC as long as he has, that he's never really drawn the X-Men before in an actual X-Men book.
Well, get out there and get it, folks.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, let's move forward here. Issue 5 of 5, page 47, X-Men: A Trial of Magneto, issue 5. Justice is served.
The mystery surrounding Magneto and the Scarlet Witch is resolved. Well, I hope the mystery is that Magneto actually is the biological father of Wanda and Pietro again, because trying to retcon that out just because of petty interstudio squabbles and the fact that Marvel Studios didn't have the X-Men never sat well with me at all. I mean, it's trying to tell us that Wanda and Pietro are Inhumans or something. Yeah, because yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that was stupid as hell, and I'm glad that they have kind of stopped mentioning that for the most part.
Now, maybe this miniseries is their opportunity to sweep it under the rug once and for all.
I certainly hope so. Yeah, they've straightened a lot of things out with the X-Men over the past couple of years, and this needs to be straightened out. And page 49, Jerry Duggan. Whatever happened to Captain Krakoa? There's a new hero on the X-Men. Who is he? Why is he here? And why does Cyclops not want him on the team?
Because he's silly looking.
Yes, he has fins on the sides of his head.
He reminds me of the old Nazi Atlantean villain Uman.
Oh man, I'm also getting really tired of costume designs where it looks like they literally cannot see anything.
Yes, those are some heavy-duty wraparounds they've got on them there.
Better believe it. Oh wow, page 53 here. Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 33, a Beyond tie-in. It's after the events of Amazing Spider-Man 81, opens up a can of worms and sends Miles and Shift on a quest that will have dire effects on both of them. What does this mean for Ben Reilly? Keep reading, True Believers. I'm assuming that this is Shift. Whoever's in the original Miles outfit here. may very well be the Miles clone.
Yes, the one with the mismatched, disproportionate arms. There, it seems like a character named Shift would probably have shape-shifting abilities that would account for that.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Uh, a
Okay.
reprint of a mid-90s classic here, The Last Avengers story, brought to you by Marvel Tales, that reprinting initiative. 2 issues, written by Peter David, art by Ariel Olivetti.
Yeah. This
This was
is a
published.
favorite of mine.
Yeah, I figured you were probably familiar with it, Ian. It was
Mm-hmm.
a Marvel Alterniverse story back in the day.
Oh yeah. Yep. Excellently done. I remember this and the Ruins story were two of my favorites back in the day of this sort of like prestige format that they were doing at the time.
Yep, Ruins was. I hesitate to say it was fun, but it was.
Ew.
It was a grimy good time, though. Written by Warren Ellis, just
Yep.
putting his barely concealed contempt for standard superheroics on full display, giving us a world in which everything that Marvel's the Busiek and Ross miniseries celebrated, in which everything that was good about that series went horribly wrong.
Oh yeah. And by horribly wrong, we mean horribly, horribly wrong. Okay. Now, page 59, The Last of the Marvels, Part 4, Captain Marvel number 35, Kelly Thompson and Sergio Davila. I will need to read this entire story at some point just to get the full Marvels, thing going on and how we get our genus back. That's gonna be nice. So just kind of bookmarking that for myself on page 59. Bookmarking it for now.
Tie a string around the finger.
Yes, definitely. As a listener pointed out to us on the comic forums after we did our last previews, we did everything but mention what book we were talking about when discussing the return of Genus Vel. We were like, oh yeah, no, and everybody will be so happy. Oh yeah, no, blah, 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 and then we just moved on from there. So
Yep.
trying to do my best not to do that this time around.
Yep, we're taking your words to heart here, Albert. We're trying to be better about that.
Absolutely, yep. And coming soon to Fantastic Four, not this issue, Fantastic Four number 39, but coming soon to Fantastic Four, a Dan Slott story years in the making.
And the funniest darn thing, Ian, one of these weird little time bubble synchronicities.
Yep.
I read the issue of Dan Slott's She-Hulk. It was the big giant-sized anniversary 100th She-Hulk comic, published in late 2005. I read that this morning.
Wow.
I saw that mention of the Reckoning War, and I was like, that's what we're getting here in 2021.
Oh, that's excellent timing, Murd. Excellent. Man, yep. And that's coming soon in future solicitations here on previews. Also a note, issue 5 of 5 of Dark Hawk by Kyle Higgins is solicited this month, so trade forthcoming. Quite possibly when we get to the trade section, because that's often how Marvel does it these days. We'll see.
Right, they just go right to print with the trades right as they're soliciting the final issue of the series.
Yep. And Cantwell, Iron Man 15, page 63. Iron Man has become the Iron God.
Finally, Korvac is going to get his comeuppance.
Oh, yeah. Oof, man. Every single cover for Black Widow number 13 gets me every time. Gorgeous. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous.
By Adam Hughes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Really nice. Page 64 for that, and then even more on 65. I think we're into Star Wars at this point. Speaking of Charles Soule, page 71, Star Wars Crimson Reign, number 1 of 5. After the dawn comes the rain. Story that began with War of the Bounty Hunters continues here. This is 5-issue miniseries by Soule with art by Stephen Cummings. I think we're into trades. Yes, we are. Look at this Frank Cho cover they have for the She-Hulk collection on page 80. Recreation of sorts of the original She-Hulk issue with a little bit of variation, as in everybody in it but She-Hulk.
So it looks like it collects all of that, well, every appearance from that first run.
Mm-hmm.
First 25 issues of the series, and guest shot in Marvel 2-in-1, number 88.
Yep. Very nice to see.
Yep. Oh, they're doing a reprint of the official, the Ohatmu Update 89 in hardcover on page 82.
I don't think you need that, Murd. I think you already have it.
I do. And I certainly don't need to pay hardcover prices for it, but
Exactly.
introducing, well, write-ups for some characters that are highly memorable, like Venom, and some others that are pretty much exactly the opposite.
Well, I mean, you do get U.S. Agent in there from the cover, and maybe the Wizard. Is that the Wizard?
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. And also the Warwolves, which are from early Excalibur. Zemnu the Titan, the big white shaggy guy. And remember the Nazi Atlantean Uman? Well, that's him in the background there. With blue skin and the fins at his ears.
I know exactly what you're talking about now because, yeah, that looks just like him. And this previous episode has been all about kids, like timing more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a specialty of both of us.
Yes, indeed. All right, we got a new printing of Fall of the Mutants. So if you haven't read Fall of the Mutants, there's a new printing of Fall of the Mutants. If you can't find this printing, there's previous printings of Fall of the Mutants. I feel like they come out every 6 months, but page 86 has a brand spanking new hardcover printing of Fall of the Mutants.
Yep, grab that, and then you'll be ready for that upcoming X-Men Legends story bridging Fall of the Mutants and Excalibur that I mentioned earlier.
You got it. Yep. Got more Dazzler on page 88, volume 3 of the Marvel Masterworks for Dazzler.
Not a series I would have thought really deserved the Masterworks treatment necessarily.
Exactly the words I thought when I saw volume 3 of Marvel Masterworks Dazzler. Like, there were 2 others?
Apparently so.
But one thing that is actually collected here that I highly recommend is the graphic novel Dazzler the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's collected here with Marvel Masterworks. Guest stars the X-Men, and it's actually a really fun story. It was part of the Marvel graphic novel collection, and I forget how long ago I read it, but I remember really enjoying it when I got to it. First, actually, it's volume X of Amazing Spider-Man Beyond. Don't know exactly what that means, but they also call it volume 1 up top. So maybe they accidentally wrote X, and if so, what are you doing, Marvel? Please proofread your solicitations.
Really? Yeah. Although, yeah, I'm glad you noticed that caption up above, interior art from volume 1, because otherwise I would have just assumed, since some of their funky numbering, like issue number 78.BEY, I wouldn't put it past them to release a volume X of a series.
It's so weird, yeah. But this is the first of the Beyond Amazing Spider-Man collections. This is 75 through 80 and 78.bay. And I'm going to continue to say .bay because that's the way they write it. Jed McKay's Moon Knight is also collected here. Moon Knight Volume 1, The Midnight Mission. Been hearing very positive things about that, and that's on sale in February 2022 on page 92.
Yep. Jed McKay is an up-and-comer.
Yes, he is. Maybe he'll get nominated in that very category for the CGS Best Ofs. We shall see.
Maybe he already has been. We did at some point institute a cap on the number of times a person can break through in the course of a single career. So,
oh, most definitely. We'll have to go back on the sheets and find that out. All right, I think that's about it for Marvel for me. Any other trades to throw out there?
I don't think so.
Okay, well then let's head back to the previews. And here we are at Dynamite to start things out. And Chris Priest is back. He wasn't gone very long, but Vampirella Dracula, Unholy #1. On page 133 of the previews here. with a very manga-inspired cover there by Rose Besh, one of the many covers for this. And the honeymoon begins between Vampirella and Dracula here with an unholy union, written by Chris Priest with art by Donnie Hadiwajawa.
Yep, I'm jumping back on board for this. It's pretty much the only Dynamite book I'm buying this month. But yeah, it's Priest's last volume of Vampirella was such a fun ride. You know,
Yep.
it's, now with the twist that Vampirella is married to someone who may or may not be the legendary Count Dracula. Mysteries abound around this person that she's decided to marry. And I just wish we got a clearer statement here of whether this is another ongoing series or if it's a mini-series.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm gonna guess it's a miniseries just by story alone, but Dynamite doesn't tell us that, so who knows? Let's see. Trying to very quickly read through the text here to try to see if they actually say it in there, but it's a novel, and I don't really feel like reading that at this particular moment. So,
Yeah, Priest can be wordy when he wants to be.
indeed.
What I get out of there, though, is that he's having a great time writing this stuff for Dynamite because Dynamite stays off his back and he doesn't censor him, doesn't care what he writes as long as he, fills the pages and sells the books.
Yep.
So it sounds a little bit like Charlton used to be back in the 60s. So it's a creator-friendly environment, so more power to him. It's Priest Unbound.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't tried his Vampirella material yet, it's recommended by me and by Mr. Everly.
Well, page 139 has a writer that we were just talking about, actually, Scott Waddell, with art by Ariel Medel, as we get an all-new Evil Ernie #1 here. After Ernest Gleckman is mortally wounded, he discovers he must pay down his new lease on life by serving as a part-time fixer for a death cult. Each time he manifests his dark side as Evil Ernie, it becomes harder to maintain his tenuous grip on his inherently good humanity.
That's the take they're going with, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was never really an Evil Ernie fan, but this it looks like it's even less fun than the original. And what the heck is up with the haircut?
I don't actually think it's going to look that way, to be entirely honest with you. Both of these are. Brett Booth drew that one. Arthur, Sudam,
Mr. Marvel Zombies, yeah,
exactly. So you're going to have to look at the actual issue itself with Ariel Medel's artwork to see exactly what he's going to look like. And even here, from the actual interiors, it looks completely different, and he's got normal hair.
Yeah. I miss the days when Evil Ernie had like a full-on 80s metal fro, just kind of like Brian Pulido himself.
Yeah, well, the 80s hair game has come and gone.
And then it came again and went again.
Yes, it did. And I'm sure it'll be back next Tuesday.
I'll be waiting for it.
All right, I'm done with Dynamite at this point. So
yeah, me too. As I said, the Priest Vampirella thing is the only thing that really interested me from them.
Yeah, in passing, I'll mention on 160 issue 3 of James Bond Himeros, Rodney Barnes and Antonio Fuso. Very striking cover here by Frank Avila as the main cover, and I dig the internal artwork as well. So yeah, any of you James Bond fans, you got a new series.
Yep. Bond takes on a sex trafficking ring.
Nice. Okay. A lot more from Dynamite than usual this month. It's taking me much longer to scroll through it. All right, here we go. Start off with Buckhead #1 over at Boom. Shobo Coker. What a name. And George Cambadeus on the writing, on the artwork, that is. What strange secrets lie in the mysterious town of Buckhead, USA? Toba and his mother, a renowned scientist, have just immigrated to the U.S., but instead of living in the big city like Toba always dreamed, they moved to a sleepy little town in the Pacific Northwest called Buckhead. In the middle of the picturesque and pedestrian town, Toba discovers that things aren't as perfect as they seem. Or isn't that always the case?
Sure seems that way.
Nice all ages action here going for you on page 182. Mysterious and thrilling new series, perfect for fans of Eve and homesick pilots. Very lively artwork too. Now, page 184 is a Buffy miniseries that I am actually very interested in. It's basically Old Man Logan with Buffy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer, number 1 of 4, written by Casey Gilly, illustrated by Joe Jaro. Can a lone slayer save what's left of humanity? In a world where Buffy is the last slayer, now in her 50s, she wages a one-woman fight against the forces of darkness who prey on humanity in the daylight, unimpeded thanks to a magical catastrophe that has nearly blotted out the sun.
Yep, that's bad news for people who aren't vampires.
You got it. And mind you, it says the multiverse explodes as Casey Gilly and Joe Jaro bring you a dystopian tale of Buffy Summers as you've never seen her before for fans of Wonder Woman Dead Earth, Batman Last Night on Earth, and Future State Wonder Woman. Yeah, I'm in. I'm super in for this. This is a Buffy story that I didn't know I needed until I saw it. And then, of course, on page 188, not going to go fully into it, but Firefly Holiday Special number 1, he's wearing a Christmas hat. Jane's wearing a Christmas hat. It had to be pointed out. All right, we're moving on. Page 188. Bah humbug, people. Oh, yeah, here we are. 192, Dune, A Whisper of Caladan Seas, number 1. Written by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. As we sit here recording, Dune just came out today and is available on HBO Max. For any of you who are looking to check it out, you can either go to the theaters or you can sit at home and just put it on your TV, one way or the other. But here's a story in the Dune verse. During the chaos of the legendary Battle of Arrakeen, a group of Atreides soldiers get caved in. So while Paul Atreides meets his destiny in battle, Sergeant Vitt uses his family's gift of storytelling to transport his men from their tomb to their homeworld of Caladan. Page 192. Looks like it should be a fun Dune story. Also, Mighty Morphin on number 14 on 194. I swore for a minute that was Mr. Freeze.
I thought it was animated style Brainiac.
That too. It's both in one.
And also whatever it actually is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm not caught up enough to know, and so I continue scrolling.
It's the best thing to do.
Yeah. Instead, let's head to page 201, shall we? Victor Laval, Eve, in softcover. Illustrated by Joe Mi Gyang. When the ice cap melted, most of humanity was lost to the hidden disease that was released. Now, a mysterious girl named Eve has awoken in secret and must deal with a world that's nothing like the virtual reality of her upbringing. This sounds like a movie waiting to happen.
She sets out on a Commandy-style adventure accompanied by her robot teddy bear sidekick.
Yeah, this seems very innovative, and even though I might not be exactly in the mood for a catastrophe right now, but maybe I will be once this comes out. We shall see.
Yeah, humanity wiped out by a hidden virus is might be a little too soon.
Yeah, Why the Last Man got canceled. All right, and we'll talk about that more in our next comic talk, February 23rd. This one comes out, Eve. Mr. Tinian the Fourth collects issues 6 through 10 of his Wind series on page 204. If you were waiting for volume 2, here it is. And on page 206, the sequel to The Princess Who Saved Herself and The Princess Who Saved Her Friends. We get The Princess Who Saved Her Friends, Greg Pak and Jonathan Colton, illustrated by Takeshi Miyazawa. Princess Who Saved Herself was super cute and super fun. And now here's the sequel, The Princess Who Saved Her Friends. I love Jonathan Colton's music, and this spawned out of a song of his to begin with, and him and Greg Pak are an excellent pair. So looking forward to seeing what the follow-up is like on page 206.
Some lovable characters there on that cover.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Remember sitting at a panel for the first Princess Who Saved Herself at Special Edition NYC back in the now non-existent original Javits North back in the day. All right, and now on to the rest of the book. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we start off with here. Well, Terry Moore's Serial gets a volume 1 treatment. The Glass Tomb on page 216. So any of you Terry Moore fans, you get it all together in the first volume here.
Mm-hmm. Story of Zoe, a fully grown woman who is somehow trapped in the body of a child who takes it upon herself to stalk and kill serial killers.
Like you do. Moving on page 219, Advent Comics has Cosmos, collecting the epic 12-issue Cosmos maxi series, and it's a whole comic universe here with Tony Kittrow on writing, Dodi Ika, and a whole bunch of others on artwork. This contains the first 4 issues of Cosmos, and the rare Cosmos 3.5 and Cosmos Omni #1. You get the beginnings here of that. Page 219. But then, on page 220, a book for me. Aftershock. Maniac of New York, The Bronx is Burning, #1. Elliot Kalin on writing, and art by Andrea Moody, so you know it's going to be very, very well drawn. The bloody saga of Maniac Harry continues. This features a 24-page story and artwork with a cardstock cover. Each issue will. And this is after the tragedy of the Death Train. Detective Zelda Pettibone and mayoral aide Gina Green have lost the trail of the maniac and the support of the city. Copycats are springing up, tensions are high, and traffic is a nightmare. So what happens when your favorite unstoppable mindless killer resurfaces at a Bronx high school? Can Zelda and Gina get there before Maniac Harry adds to his body count?
Yep, it's kind of a Michael Myers meets Bernard Getz concept. And this is the second miniseries they've done with the character, and I picked up the first one. I have no complaints.
All right, I'll have to track that first one down because, hey, this one's taking place in the Bronx, and I live there.
Yes, you do.
Nice. Now, what say you about page 222?
Yeah. Tales of Mother F. Goose by Frank Thierry and Joe Eisma. It's kind of a like a Coppola-ized version of Fables, you might say. It's a well-known nursery rhyme and a few fairy tale characters getting mobbed up in this one shot. Prestige format, probably somewhat humorous. It's probably not going to be for me, but it's there.
Woke up this morning, got yourself a goose. Page 222 for that. And the incentive Pulp Fiction cover on the very next page is kind of brilliant. Page 229, Bunny Mask Volume 1, another one that we mentioned in the past. This collects all 4 issues of the first volume of Bunny Mask by Paul Tobin, with artwork yet again by Andrea Moody. Andrea Moody's getting around, especially for Aftershock. Page 229. And then Peter Milligan's Out of Body, another one we mentioned in the past. The first 5 issues of that comes out on page 230. Anaki Miranda on artwork. And that's on sale in January. Ooh, I accidentally went back up because that's what happens when you fat finger the scrolling. All right, page 239, The Three Stooges Stocking Stuffer, #1. I will mention this not because I'm even interested in it, just because it's just so out there, and it's Christmas with the Three Stooges. I mean, it's bound to be silly. It's bound to be, enjoyable and amusing. And if you're into the Stooges, this is the type of stocking stuffer you should be looking for.
Yeah. It's not the first time American Mythology has published one of these Three Stooges Christmas specials, but I would have ordered it. Actually, I would have put it on my DCBS order, but I've ordered one of these from them in years past, and I'm not 100% convinced it's not just the same comic with different covers put on it. So I think I may sit this one out. But I do appreciate, see the Philip Murphy main cover there?
Yep.
Notice how Mo is putting what appears to be a menorah on top of the tree? Nice touch. Because as we know, the Stooges, the brothers Howard, were Jewish.
Yes. Very, very good call out there. Yeah, job well done. Job well done. Well, it's 32 pages of Stooges Christmas action on page 239. Archie Holiday Magic, one shot on 244.
Yep, this one aimed at fans of the more recent reimagined versions of Archie with more contemporary-looking artwork. This is a Christmas special for you if you've been a fan of that Archie initiative.
Yep.
And if you're not, there's a more classically styled Archie Christmas special on the very next page.
Exactly. Something for everyone. Time to scroll through all the Avatar. Okay, page 259. For the wrestling fans in the audience, Crimson Cage, #1. Written by John Leese, illustrated by Alex Cormack, colored by Ashley Cormack. Double, toil and rumble. Brace yourself for a no-holds-barred reimagining of William Shakespeare's Macbeth from the critically acclaimed creators of Sync. New Orleans, 1984. Chuck Frenzy is the main event star of the local Louisiana pro wrestling territory, but yearns for something greater. A fateful encounter with a trio of terrifying beings in the bayou gives Chuck a glimpse of championship glory beyond his wildest dreams, if he's willing to do something terrible to achieve it.
Wow. A pro wrestling version of Macbeth. That is something.
Yep. And I might be in.
It's tempting. I mean, if I were a bigger fan of wrestling, I think I'd be in immediately.
Yeah. I if it's not for me, it might be for one of my wrestling loving friends on page 259. So, yeah, this is to be remembered.
Oh, and speaking of Shakespeare,
Mm-hmm.
Page 263 from a relatively new publisher called Behemoth Comics, No Holds Barred, which is about Shakespeare and William Page adopting semi-superheroic guises and going to rescue a captive Queen Elizabeth I.
Well, this just sounds like it's right up my alley.
Mm-hmm. And the whole thing is scripted in iambic pentameter.
Wow. I can only imagine how long that must have taken.
There's even a little blurb here from Gail Simone saying that it's brilliantly written, gorgeously illustrated, and it's why she is in love with comics.
That is a good pedigree.
Mm-hmm.
Page 263, No holds barred, spelled the way you would expect it to be spelled when
In a
Shakespeare's involved.
Shakespearean context, yeah.
Exactly. All right. And then on page 264, this is Knight Janik, number 1. What if Zelda and Conan had a child? The answer is Knight Janik. Things are not going well in the realm of Fancy Wake. The royal couple falls a victim of a fatal accident, and the fresh new duke shows a disturbing passion for the occult. As if that were not enough, a strange wanderer arrives in the capital. And it goes from there. It's yet again some very pretty artwork, and yeah, seems like it should be a lot of fun. Page 264 for any of you who are into your fantasy with a little bit of a twist.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see if we got anything else here. Yeah, why not? The Deviltry on page 268 by Keith Rommel. A ruthless serial killer brought his victims to an ancient oak tree. The torment the victims endured is said to have seeped into the grounds across the tree that still stands to this day, haunted and visited by thousands every year. Based on a true story.
A slightly exaggerated true story.
A very, very exaggerated true story. Page 268 for that one.
Yeah, well, as Jamie always reminded us, never allow the facts to get in the way of a good story.
Oh, amen to that. The a slipcase edition of Bone on page 273. Anybody's looking for a fancy, schmancy 20th anniversary color slipcase edition of Bone? Well, it's there for you on page 273. Jeff Smith and a classic.
Yours for a mere $150.
Just a smidgen. All right. Let's see what else we got here. King of King Court, the graphic novel on page 281. Travis Dandro. From a child's eye view, Travis Dandro recounts growing up with a drug-addicted birth father, alcoholic stepdad, and overwhelmed mother. As a kid, Dandro would temper the tension of his everyday with flights of fancy, finding refuge in toys and animals and insects rather than the unpredictable adults around him. Dandro perceptively details the effects of poverty and addiction on a family while maintaining a child's innocence for as long as he can. Not exactly going to be a happy story here, but certainly a down-to-earth one. And looks
story worth telling and worth reading.
Most definitely. Page 281. King of King Court. Got a new Ed Piskor action on page 290. Red Room, Trigger Warnings. The best-selling, most talked-about series of 2020 kicked off its second 4-issue season with another self-contained mini masterpiece of monthly comics storytelling. This issue, The Decimator presents The Rat Queens. Red Room, Trigger Warnings number 1. If you're a fan of Ed Piskor, this one's for you. Page 290. Page 291, great gift ideas. Yes, you're right. It is a great gift idea. Darkwing Duck, Just Us Justice Duck's Disney Afternoon Adventures, Volume 1. Awesome 80s and 90s comics based on a classic Disney Afternoon TV cartoons. Page 291. That's a lot of the stuff that was in Disney Adventures back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy to see that collected in any way, shape, or form. I wish the Gargoyles stuff would get collected because there was a bunch of Gargoyles Disney Adventures stuff that really hasn't seen the light of day since.
Yep. Yeah, the Gargoyles cartoon is still on my long-term watch list for Disney Plus.
Yep. Well, you'll absolutely love it when you get around to it. Except for the Goliath Chronicles, that's not
okay. No. I'll omit that when I get to it.
Yeah, at that point they had removed the original creator and much of the original writers and went their own direction. It's not terrible, but it's also nowhere near as good as the first 2 seasons. Prose book for Black Canary out of Ember on page 292. Black Canary Breaking the Silence by Alexandra Monier. And if you want a nice Black Canary book without the pictures, that's for you.
It's prose, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's an account of her life in the New 52 continuity, because it mentions Gotham City taken over by the Court of Owls.
Yes, indeed. Yep. Actually, yeah, you know what? This looks striking enough. The Res Detectives on page 307, volume 1 of a graphic novel series by Stephen Paul, Judd, and Tivley Jacob. This summer, Tasembo just wants to chill, but that's not an option when it's a scorching day on the reservation and the ice cream man is a no-show. In an attempt to impress his crush by solving the mystery, Tasembo joins forces with his neighbor Nuseka and his dog Billy Jack to take on their first case as the Res Dog Detectives. All right, that's brilliant. Some Hardy Boys level action with a Native American reservation spin.
Sounds good.
Yes, it is. It's on page 307. And then to make me hungry on page 310, The Art of Sushi by Frankie Alarkin. Fly to Japan and come discover all there is to know about sushi. After revealing the secrets of chocolate to us, Frankie Alarkin offers a gourmet panorama of this exceptional dish that has conquered the planet. Do you really know sushi? Well, you will after reading The Art of Sushi, clearly. Note to self, get myself some sushi. It's been a while. And on 311 was the secrets of chocolate, a gourmand's trip by Frankie Alarkin.
Yes, the aforementioned.
Mm-hmm. How about this on page 314, Meteor Men, expanded edition by the one and only Jeff Parker.
Yep, coming-of-age story about a teenager and his friends as they make contact with aliens and hang out on the guy's Volvo 240 series station wagon, which is my first car and for which I have an undying affection. Yeah, it's, as you say, it's Jeff Parker, which is a mark of quality. The art is by Sandy Jarrell. There's a Volvo wagon in it, and I even like the cover logo because it reminds me of the cover dress of the Crisis on Infinite Earths novelization that Marv Wolfman created a couple of years ago.
Yeah, very good point.
Yep. I remember when this was first solicited, and now it's available in softcover, so now may be the time.
Yep, and it's a expanded edition. It features 20 new pages of story and art,
Nice.
interspersed with the original pages of this modern classic. Yep, good stuff. Absolutely no relation to the 90s movie Meteor Man.
Yes.
Rick and Morty Annihilation Tour on page 319. All new collection featuring 4 of Rick and Morty's greatest hits. It's all across the Rick and Morty series. Issues 4, 23, 26, and then Rick and Morty presents The Flesh Curtains. That's a title for the ages right there. Page 319.
It's the name of a band that Rick used to belong to, I think.
Yeah, I know. It's just every time I'm like, wow, that's they got away with that.
More than once, too.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It's a real bonanza for the Loud House fan here on page 323. Paper Cuts is releasing in this. There's like 3 new collections of Loud House comics here. There's a Valentine's special, a winter special, and just a plain old collection. And wouldn't you know, I'm pre-ordering every last one of them. At this point, I'm actually enjoying the comics more than I am the actual cartoon, which, in my opinion, jumped the shark sometime late in season 4.
Yeah. Were you the one who recommended Amphibia to me, by the way?
No. You're the one who recommended Amphibia to me.
Okay, all right.
And I told you that I'd seen an episode or 2 and decided pretty quickly it wasn't for me.
I think that was Owl House, actually.
Oh yeah, well. Actually, it's true in both cases. I liked Amphibia a little more than Owl House. I just like the humor was more on my level, I think.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. I've only recently watched Amphibia, so I was curious if you had brought it up before. Yep.
Don't think so, unless it was in the context of Owl House, because there's similarities between the two, certainly.
Oh, most definitely. They're parallel stories, definitely. Speaking of stories, page 324. What is the story of Captain Kirk? I'm Captain Kirk.
My head is 5 times the size of my body.
Apparently, this is what happened when I went up in space.
Darn cosmic rays.
I know, right? Journey to the deep space and learn how James Tiberius Kirk became one of the greatest space heroes in the Star Trek universe. From appearances in live action and animated television shows, a series of films. Yeah, you get the idea. But did you know that Kirk wasn't even the show's first captain? Yes, I did know that.
Yes.
And that the Star Trek series almost didn't happen. Yes, I did also know that. But maybe author M.D. Payne will give us some further exploration into that than we've known before. It's Penguin Workshop. It's more for kiddos, but it's good stuff. Page 324. Did you know the T stands for Tiberius?
Yes, we both did.
Yes, I know. Mega #1. Talk about some kaiju action on page 328.
For sure.
Yep. Salvador Sands. A gigantic creature has been awakened from its eternal sleep in Antarctica. The destructive monster, only known as the Salamander, has started a journey of chaos and destruction. The only thing that could stop this menace is another sleeping giant, a creature from under the ocean known as Mega. Yeah, this is great for any of you kaiju fans.
Yep, that is a kaiju labor of love right there. And that the cover by Sands himself, if that's any indication of the interiors, it looks pretty darn good.
Oh, you're damn right. Yep, absolutely. Then on the same page, download #1, Scott Chitwood and Danny Luckert. When Eric is hit by a mysterious blast of light from space, he suddenly finds his mind filled with designs for strange devices. But when he blindly begins building them, he won't discover what they do until he and his friends turn them on. But do they dare? In the spirit of the Goonies and the Explorers, the adventure begins here from the creators of Haunted and Riptide. That sounds super cool.
Yeah. It's like the Goonies meets Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Mm-hmm. Good pull. 328 for that one. Okay, and you have anything before tomorrow's? Because I think I don't really have anything until then myself.
Yep. In between where we are now and where tomorrow's is, we'll get to Titan Books.
Yes. Good point. Good
remark or two to make there.
Yep. All right, great. Then let's head straight to Titan, and let's get this one over with. Because, all right, Dan Waters and Lamar Mathurin on Cowboy Bebop #1 of 4. Based on the new Netflix live-action adaptation of the original anime set in the year 2071. We got the bounty hunters here, and we got Bebop action going on. Now, I know that it's based on the Netflix series, but I'm a little bit disappointed that they didn't get at least one Japanese creator involved with this 4-issue miniseries.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know they don't have to, because again, it's based on the Netflix series. It's not based on the anime. It's not based on the manga. You know, it's its own separate individual thing, but it's so inspired by it that you'd hope that there'd at least be somebody in there. But we'll see how Dan Waters and Lamar do. I'm not saying anything against them because I haven't even seen anything yet, but that's immediately where my brain went when I saw this originally solicited. That, and I really don't even know how much interest I have in this 4-issue miniseries until I've seen the Netflix series and see whether or not it's actually worth my time.
So this may be a trade wait or an eventual trade ignore.
Most definitely, yeah. Again, the initial trailer that I saw was bombastic and chaotic in all the right ways, but I don't know if the story is actually going to be worth my time yet. And yeah, like you said, trade waiting is definitely in the future. Though I do like the artwork that much. I'll definitely say.
Yep, and I reiterate that the cover by looks very good.
Yep, that's on 348 and 349. All right, and you know what? Why not?
Yeah, I was going to say something about that thing we're looking at right now. Also,
It's
on page 352.
52.
And it's a hardcover OGN called Azimuth by writer Wilfred Lupano and artist Jean-Baptiste André. And it's a kind of a surreal adventure in an Alice in Wonderland type fantasy land. Perfect for fans of fantasy, Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, the Discworld series, and Terry Gilliam fantasy movies. A host of quirky characters in a colorful fantasy world whose lives are turned upside down when the magnetic North Pole disappears.
Heh. Wow. That would turn things upside down, wouldn't it?
In a couple different ways, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably would have thrown that in my cart right away if it were softcover, but it isn't, so I will wait.
Well, here's hoping a softcover does come your way.
Mm-hmm. Fingers crossed.
All right, and now over to tomorrow's, and
the Fawcett Collectors of America have taken over Alter Ego, as they regularly do, for number 174.
Yep.
Cool little Sivana family versus Captain Marvel cover there.
Most
but the real
definitely.
goods are on page 356.
Yes, they are. And a reminder that coming soon to Comic Geek Speak is a book of the month on this very character. And back issue number 133 will be purchased by Shane. And it is their Starman issue, headlined by James Robinson and Tony Harris's Jack Knight Starman.
And for good measure, they've also included the Star-Spangled Kid, presumably in his 40s, 70s incarnations, and also Courtney Whitmore of the late 90s. Mm-hmm. Starjammers for Marvel, Starstruck, and the 1980s Starman, his name is Will Payton. May he rest in peace.
Yes, indeed. Yep. And featuring Dave Cockrum, Conway, Robert Greenberger, Elaine Lee, Tom Weil, and Roger Stern, Roy Thomas, and a whole bunch more. And a gorgeous Tony Harris Starman cover. Man still got it after all these years.
Yeah, it's not quite the same take he had back in 1994, but it still looks darn good. It's on brand.
Oh, most definitely. Yep. And that's on page 356. And it is a bye for Mr. Shane. That much I can guarantee. You know, going back up to 355 real quick, I keep looking at this Dr. Crow and figure that I should actually, say something about it. Corey Fryla gives us an unrelenting, otherworldly terrors lay hidden in shadows to our world, but one man dares to stare in their way. In the name of science! Dr. Victor Crow.
Mm-hmm. He's wearing a plague doctor bird mask.
Yep. Very striking image, to say the least. And that's on 355. That's out of 215 Inc. All right. I think it's manga from here for me, but if you have anything in between, be my guest.
I don't think I have any Valiant to shout out at this time.
Okay. Ninjak Book 1 is the one thing I'll say. 361 collects the first 4 issues of Ninjak by Jeff Parker.
Yep. It comes highly recommended by our friend Eric Nolan Wethington.
Mm-hmm. And actually looking to see real quick if there's anything from Vault to point out. Yeah, let's go with 366. Trey Dean and Sebastian Perez. We Ride Titans. Trying to keep your family from imploding is a tall order. Kit Hobbs is about to find out it's an ever taller order when the family has been piloting the Titan that protects New Hyperion from kaiju for generations. Okay, yet again, they got me with kaiju. Between a spiraling brother, a powder keg of a father, and a whole bunch of 20-story monsters, she got her work cut out for her. 366. We Ride Titans.
Yep. Looks like it's kind of the Pacific Rim approach to kaiju. So if you enjoyed those movies, you'll probably enjoy this comic.
Yes, indeed. Yep. And I did enjoy the first movie. The second movie is hit or miss, but it's still pretty decent.
Kind of forgot they even made the second one.
Yeah, well, so did most of everybody else. Yeah, and the one thing of note that I'll say here, colorist TBD and letterer TBD. So that means there might be some last-second crunching going on with this book, but we shall see. All right, let's head over to Manga. And once I see my favorite advertisement, then I know I'm good. There we are, Mob Psycho. Thank you very much. Take a drink. And let's head over to Persona 5 Mementos Mission, Volume 1. Any of you Persona fans, this will be for you. As a mysterious group of phantom thieves skulks in the shadows of Tokyo, changing the hearts of corrupt adults. Behind their masks are normal teenagers and a talking black cat. Persona 5 Mementos Mission is an all-new mystery featuring the cast of Persona 5. One of the most popular video games in multiple iterations over the past couple of years. Rikaru Saito is the mangaka, and Atlas, obviously, is the original creators of the game. That's on page 384, that is. 384. Shall I give us more kaiju? Okay, sure.
Stick with the theme. Why not?
Exactly. Kaiju number 8 on page 387. This is volume 1. Story and art by Naoya Matsumoto. It's an immediate success from Shonen Jump. Offers an irreverent but heartfelt take on the big monster fighting genre with the same premise that propelled mega hits like Attack on Titan and Tokyo Ghoul to success. The highest kaiju emergence rates in the world. Japan is no stranger to attack by deadly monsters. Enter the Japan Defense Force, a military organization tasked with the neutralization of kaiju. Kafka Hibino, what a name. Kaiju Core Cleanup Man has always dreamed of joining the force, but when he gets another shot at achieving his childhood dream, he undergoes an unexpected transformation. How can he fight kaiju now that he's become one himself?
His name is Kafka, and he undergoes a metamorphosis. You see?
I see what they did there.
Yeah.
Page 387. Good-looking artwork and pretty cool premise, and I don't know if you knew this about me. I like kaiju.
Really? You?
What?
I don't even know you anymore.
Page 387 from Viz there. And I will try to find at least one more standout manga here. Okay, I'm not calling this out, but I love that there's a book called So I'm a Spider, So What?
Yeah, that's a manga title, all right.
Oh, most definitely. Yep. All right, let's go with trying to find something that's right in my wheelhouse or something with a weird enough name. Let's see which way can I go. Let's go with yeah, why not actually? Goyabano Holiday.
Darn it. I need to go and revise my DCBS order for this month because this thing has been solicited like 3 times and canceled each time. And I keep wanting to put it on there because, as I've said before, I am a fan of fruit-based adventure stories, and that's exactly what Gaiabano Holiday offers.
Yes, indeed. And yep, this is out of Denpa Books, friends of me over the years. And this is about indie manga artist Pampaya discovers the wonders of Gayabano fruit and the Philippines. And yes, I think we may have brought this up before, quite frankly, now that you mention it. And hopefully this time around, this is resolicited, as you said. They didn't even bother to write which previews it got resolicited from. However, this says October 21st, 2017, it got resolicited from. So here's hoping it actually comes out this time.
Oh, yes, because I really would like to read this story.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds pretty cool. And it's about a trip to Tokyo's Asian market district. Ameya Kocho leads the protagonist on a trip to hunt down the mysterious Gayabano fruit. Little does the protag and their crew know that their curiosity will take them on a wild and mouth-watering trip to the Philippines. Page 402 for that one. And then one last call out just for the name, because I look for my Japanese names. Into the Deepest, Most Unknowable Dungeon, Volume 1. Mature rated take on the popular isekai fantasy genre. A man journeys into the darkest, squishiest depths of a goblin-filled dungeon in another world. Former office worker Gene finds himself transported into a land where even armies have failed to conquer the Fuka Fuka dungeon. With no magic cheat codes and no secret knowledge, Gene must battle goblins and seek glory against a cast of voluptuous warrior women. Yeah, I can see why this one's mature rated.
Yes, I think it's the voluptuous part.
I think so too. That's on page 402. And unless I find something else food related, I think I have shot my bolt.
And you have my word, I'm not going to throw in anything from the swag side of the catalog because I can't see the swag side of the catalog. Full disclosure, I don't have my usual print copy here at my side this time. I'm completely dependent on Ian's digital version here.
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate, but hopefully next month we'll correct that. Hopefully you'll get your books in a timely manner. We shall see. I'm scrolling through it right now to see if there's any of your type of call outs that I may find, but I don't think that's really the case. Although, you know what? Why not? Page 28 of the back of the book, Marvel Disney Legends Hydra Stomper Deluxe figure. If you've watched What If, that is one of the more striking designs, and the Hydra Stomper is there for you. On page 28 is a damn cool Iron Man take. And then on the very next page, a Spider-Man Legends Tigra figure straight out of the 80s with the box art design. I love it. And with that, I think bolt shot. All right, we did it. Take a breath.
Another journey completed.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And thank you all for sticking with us here for the long haul. And another preview is completed. And
Labyrinth vinyl figures.
Oh! Hold on.
That's on page 36. That looks kind of cool.
Yes, it does. I'm scrolling back up a little bit here so you can see it. Oh yeah! Wow, those are pretty awesome. They remind me of the Babe.
What Babe?
The Babe with the power.
What power?
The power of voodoo.
Hoodoo.
You do.
Do what?
Remind me of the Babe. All right, there we go.
Yep, we completed the cycle.
As long as we've gotten there, then yes, mission accomplished. I should stop scrolling because if I scroll any further, then we might actually find things that we want. So yes, absolutely mission accomplished here with previews. Thank you all so much for sticking with us as usual.
Raising a glass to absent friends here for Shane and Chris.
Yes, most definitely. And they will be back next week for sure with something theme appropriate for Halloween. And you'll just have to tune in to find out what that is. Yeah, that's right. We're not giving it away. Not this
But it's
time.
something that Chris suggested. So if you like stuff that Chris likes, you'll probably want to listen in.
Oh, most definitely. Yep. And it's one of my favorites as well for this time of year. It's a retro movie review. We'll at least say that much. But I'm gonna leave the actual movie up for you to find out as you listen to it. Alrighty, so reminder yet again that we're sponsored by you, the listeners, over at patreon.com/comicgeekspeak. Thank you so much for your continued support of the show. What would we do without you? Nothing. We do absolutely nothing because there wouldn't be a show. So thank you so much for all of you. You are the best. And now let me get the music going here. As Phil and Shane, we are just about ready for you. So head on over, Murd.
All right. If you would like to send us an email, the address is comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave a voicemail, you can call us at 267-702-6642. You can like us on Facebook, and you can join our Comic Geek Speak supergroup to talk back to us about this and many other episodes of our show, or just to shoot the breeze with your fellow CGS listeners on a variety of geeky topics. You can go to thecomicforums.vanillacommunity.com, which is our original online forum where you can do exactly the same thing I just said. You can follow us on Twitter. Our handle there is @ComicGeekSpeak. You can go to youtube.com/ComicGeekSpeak if you care to watch the video version of various episodes of our podcast, which comes in especially handy for following along with these previews rambles that we do. And thanks to Ian for providing all those visuals, because they're very helpful both to you, the listeners, and to us, his fellow hosts. We give a special thanks, as always, to those of you who have donated monetarily to the show recently or in the distant past via Patreon or any other format or platform. We truly appreciate it, and the show would not be what it is today without your help. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.
Bouncing around at a slow fade. Love it.
I happen to be sitting on a bed.
Excellent.